kind of expect it from Nick, but
Yep.
yeah.
It wouldn't be
family
the first
show.
time they've heard it from Nick.
It's a family show, huh?
Okay, let's. I'm going to pull up the chat room for you, the window for you to see. Oh no, that's what I was doing when I
Watched it.
When I watched it, I quit the browser after I started.
Oh.
Okay, let's. I'm going to pull up. And and I was trying to do is close some windows. So instead of doing Command W, I did Command Q.
Oops.
Command Q kind of does a lot
Quits
more.
everything.
Yeah. Oh, no. But luckily, the Hangout was still there. Okay, so there's the chat room. And I'm going to go here and put the other window up, Tony, so you can see that. And now entertain the audience while I go to the bathroom and get another beer.
Tell President Johnson I said hello.
Well, it's a funny place to keep your beer in the bathroom, but there you go.
Well,
Hey, will you do me a favor?
So,
What? Top me off with ice a little more.
Ice and
I might as well have a bartender while I'm, sitting here.
Yeah,
With the funny.
What can I do for you?
more like a cabin attendant. Excellent. Well, hi,
So we're
everybody in
live,
the
huh?
chat room.
Hi, everybody.
We are. And who have we got on board?
so we've got Liz Piper, Michael Kuipers,
Love you.
Fabian, Benjamin
I love
Todd,
you, Kep, Stat.
Glenn Towler. Ooh, what
I'm
is
getting
that?
all the knee glasses.
That is a large bottle of something.
That's what?
What?
I'm a big guy. You go big and go home. You know what I'm saying?
I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah.
It's the first time I've seen a bottle of Eagle Rare, which is a very rare. You've got the ice, but that's okay. We can make it
A lot
work.
of ice in there.
Eagle Rare,
What
which
am I
is
doing this
a
for? You should
very
be doing this for
nice
me.
bourbon. And yeah, I'm doing it for you. So I had never seen it in a
He's doing
1.75
just
liter
fine.
bottle. So I figured I'd go ahead and, he disappeared. I figured I'd go ahead and buy it.
Cool.
TSA should have fun with me when I go through with that big bottle, being a pilot.
We'll have a good time with that.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
I'll bring a couple shot glasses for him.
Yeah. It's all about, like, we're not going to say anything here, right? There's a shot for you, shot for me. Everyone's cool. Go on your way.
No. Yeah. It's not a good thing as a responsible pilot.
That's right.
I can drink now because I have an 18-hour layover.
Yeah.
But I will be, of course, fully ready to go in the morning because certainly not worth ever putting my career in jeopardy for that.
Absolutely not.
No. And if you saw the color bourbon
for wearing your
that's in this
stockings
glass,
on the
it's
flight deck.
almost clear. It's mostly water.
Yep. Well, very good.
Oh, he's back.
You would, Tony?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Tony? You wouldn't be wearing your stockings on the flight deck either, would you?
No, but I do wear my. I do have spectacles. I have to wear all the time to make sure I can see. They're my spectacles.
Your
Very good.
So that now I can
I
see.
can't actually see the difference between those and what you looked like before.
I know why he's got those. So we were discussing earlier, Jeff looks over, sees that. Oh, eyes wide open. Perfect. Good to go.
Yeah, perfect. We're ready to go. They look in, and then of course, I tell people that this is my Delta vision in dental plan.
Acme.
Acme.
Yes.
The reason why those folks that are just joining us and want to know why I do that is honestly is not because I'm trying to make myself look funny, but in the real world these days, we're not allowed to tell any funny, dirty jokes anymore at work. So I make people laugh by making fun of myself. It works all the time.
I'm sure.
I have fun with it.
Yeah, you gotta
have a sense of humor. And
exactly.
yeah, absolutely. There's one time to be serious, and that's when people are in these hands, when I'm flying the airplane, that's when I need to be serious. Other than that, life's too fun, too short not to have fun.
Exactly.
So I have it.
I love it.
What makes me laugh is when you fly.
Hey, doctor.
Yes.
Do you know a good chiropractor that you can recommend? Because after his leaning, I need to go see one.
I'll get you a few
Yeah.
names. Yeah.
Good, excellent. Next time in Charlotte, I'll look it up.
Perfect.
Okay. We're just about ready to
If you
go
want to be
here.
stabbed in the back, that's your go.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey, can you? What does everybody think about Nick's volume compared to everybody else's? It sounds kind of on the low side of me.
Yeah, I
A
can't
little
even
bit.
hear myself.
Yeah. Okay. Are we? Maybe we're too loud over here.
Let me
Is our volume
see
okay?
if
Yeah, your volume's fine,
Okay.
Jeff and Tony.
Very good. Very good.
I'm just a loud guy from Boston.
And of course, I remember to bring everything with me except for the, holder for the mic. I even have the
The
mic
stand.
stand.
I remembered. Wow. Yeah, that's loud.
how's that? Testing. 2579.
Very good.
Yeah, you're very quiet now.
8375309. No, 8. What was it?
8675309.
8675309. 8675309. 86. There we go. You can still hear me though. That's not going to help.
Yeah, it is. At least I'm having stereo in both
Okay.
ears.
Let's go over here. See what I've forgotten to put in here. Of course, I've forgotten to put stuff. What room is this? Really weird room number.
Jen says, "Stop saying my number."
223.
Oh, sorry, Jen. She got. No wonder I'm so popular. In the what is this place called? Shingle Creek.
Jingles.
Shingle Creek. Rosen Shingle Creek, whatever.
We're
Okay.
up the creek.
3. Shoot. I'm just
Just
trying
make
to
up
think
a
of
number.
way to.
No one really knows.
Lots of news this week. Too numerous to mention. There we go. That's where we'll go. And is this the proper name, Flight in a Bird Dog?
Yeah, it's a play on words, Jeff, and you're just the man to do it because not only is the guy flying it, he's fleeing. So if you can get
Flight
that meaning across.
in a Bird Dog. There we go. I
Yes.
understand now the ellipsis.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
right? Ellipsis. Okay. Dun, 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 do. Okay. I think we're ready.
We always are.
Wait a minute. Oh, I need to put something else down here.
Bum, 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 bum.
We're almost there.
Aren't
We're
you
almost
Mary
there.
had a canoe
Tony,
up
did
the
it-
leg of a drum?
Jeez,
Um,
When
think it's
she
singing.
farted, it
Meetup.
departed to a round of applause.
Bill Laster. I got some stuff for you guys, by the way. Some more stuff.
Stuff.
So when we actually meet again, in addition to the beer that Micah gave me, I'm just the messenger in this whole crew, I think. I got a bunch of stickers and stuff for all the rest of you.
Sweet.
Bill Blast
Oh, great. Thanks.
Price.
Love his last show. 243. Robot co-pilots.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
luck.
That'll happen one day.
Yeah. Well, after I'm long gone. Uh-oh. That's what I've forgotten to do, too. Need to get a...
So Tony, 3 years ago when you guys did this, did it take them this long to set up a show?
Longer.
Longer. Okay. So we've made some progress.
He's more organized now.
Wow.
You should have seen this set up. He had a sound panel with him, computer, soundboard. It's just great.
Well, they've seen it. See, Nick, he just finally gets bored and he just starts singing to himself.
Meeting Susan.
Or he's had enough to drink.
He
and
tries
started
to
singing to
bugger
himself.
the Sphinx.
Ready to go sleep already.
All right,
when we're there,
I was hoping this would just bore him to tears and he'd leave and not want to do this.
Is blocked by the sands of the Nile.
So, Nick,
Which account?
you're an avid, Airbus guy. Huh?
No, Tony. I happen to be flying one, so it seems to me that someone ought to stick up for them, since that nasty man, Rick, seems to try and pull the stuffing out of him every time he gets in the air. So
I don't speak French very
No,
well.
I
That's
may,
why I don't fly it.
Yeah, well, you're obviously not very good at French kissing then, and other French activities.
Well, actually, I'm a carrying certified lesbian. So
that's enough. That's enough. Don't get him, Nick. Please don't get him going. Really, I'm just sorry.
No offense, Steph, but I am a paleontologist.
Paleontologist.
Yes, I study the Megasaurus.
Yep.
And the Licholotopus.
Yep.
All right.
And you fly
famous
I'm not taking that one and running with it. I have a reputation to uphold here. As
yeah.
The show under control.
I don't even know her yet, and I'm only offending her.
Huh? No, you're not offending me.
No, don't encourage him, Steph. Please act like you're offended.
I'm exceptionally offended.
Thank you.
Are you kidding? I have to. I do a show with these guys every week.
I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the offenses.
Yeah, when I heard that. So you're still you're doing weekend warrior stuff?
Yeah, a lot of flying on the weekends.
You own an airplane, or you just rent?
No, right now I'm just renting. I started getting checked out in a Cirrus, which I'm really excited about, and I'm just waiting for it to come back from Florida. Someone flew it down there, and I don't even know what the issue it was that it had, but it's supposed to be back.
22 so. Or 20 or 22?
22.
Oh, sweet. Nice airplane.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's on my profile. I don't know. Probably didn't talk about it in the last show, but I'm actually still an active CFI.
Nice.
So I get to
very good
partake in a little bit of that general aviation that you get to love and enjoy every day that you go up.
Yeah. No, I love it. It keeps me sane from my job.
Yeah. Well, it's there's nothing like it, is there?
No, absolutely not. So,
Jeff, you look like you were going to... Your commercial instrument?
Commercial instrument, and got my multi-engine this year, too. Although I don't have much of a chance to go out and fly the twins too often, but might have some opportunity for that coming up soon. Yeah.
They're expensive.
A little bit.
Trouble is now you've got it, Steph. You've got to keep it going.
I know. That's the problem. So I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Okay. I need more time in my schedule.
Oh, he's logging into his iCrew, which is our crew system, and just took a snapshot of all the time because
we're going to talk. That's part of something we're going to talk about.
We're going to talk about. Actually, I should have brought it here with me.
Yeah, that's okay. If people follow us on Twitter or me on Twitter, they would have seen it.
Jeff has over 10,000 hours in the 88 now, and
10,290.5. Thank you.
0.32.
But I just want to make sure people didn't think that was
0.32.
0.32, but that's 32 minutes, so that's 0.5.
No, it's 8.5, wouldn't it?
Yeah. No, because that's hours and minutes, and I broke it down into a decimal. It's math.
I don't know that. Well, you're a first officer for that amount of hours? Well,
yeah.
Would never known you were a first officer.
What does that mean? Okay. I think we should start the show before it even gets further downhill.
We're just waiting on you.
I know.
We're all waiting on you.
Here we go. Start the recorder. I almost started without making sure that everything was recording.
Yes. I was just about to ask.
I've never done that before.
That's never happened.
No.
Every other week.
Yeah. And this one says on. Okay. Recording in both places. 244. And here we go. Airline Pilot Guy, episode 244.
Flight 209, are you clear for takeoff? Roger.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show, the view from our side of the cockpit door. I'm Captain Jeff, your host, broadcasting live from Studio 10233. Quit staring at me. in the Shingle Creek Rosen Hotel in Orlando, Florida. And today's episode, you know what? That's just too noisy, isn't it? That it's freaking me out. You're just staring at me. Stare at the camera. Look at the people.
Now he's staring at me. Ah.
Yeah, stare at Steph.
Yeah,
She's much-
don't look at me.
I'm
Don't look
actually
at
staring
me.
at the golf course thinking about Donald Trump being down there because he's here in Orlando.
Oh,
He's
is
probably
he?
out there playing golf.
Okay, here we go. Take two. Airline Pilot Guy, episode 244.
Flight 209, are you clear for takeoff? Roger. LA, good morning. 3.9. Roger. Request selected.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show, the view from our side of the cockpit door. I'm Captain Jeff, your host, broadcasting live from Studio 10233, weird number, in the Rosen Shingle Creek Hotel in Orlando, Florida. In today's episode, my oh my, are there a lot of news stories to cover. Crashes, engines exploding, gear collapsing, and more. So that, and of course your feedback, and a new Plane Tales episode, Flight in a Bird Dog. So get all settled in, tray tables and seatbacks in their upright and locked positions. Electronic devices powered on. Flight 244 is ready for pushback. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy Show, an aviation podcast where pilots get together and talk about aviation, and with an emphasis on commercial aviation because a couple of us at least here are airline pilots, hence Airline Pilot Guy. You know, the other day I was just thinking, I was remembering, gosh, it must have been, I don't know, about, I like that sound. About 3 years ago, there was a show, and I had this guy with me, and it was in Savannah, Georgia, and what was his name? Oh, his name was Tony, and I saw this guy last week, and in the Atlanta International Airport, and he said, "Hey, I'm flying with you next week." I said, "What? No way!" I said, "How is it to be on the show again?" So how you hear this voice? Here he is.
And not only that, he looked at me and said, "Well, who are you?"
Why are you walking up to me and accosting me with your verbal nonsense? No, this is, are you going to use your real name this time? And you think it's okay? I mean, this is a legitimate thing now. You know, when he joined me on that show, it was episode 90. I'll put the link in the show notes to the show. And I think the title of that episode was Airline Pilot Guys. And Dana here joined me, but he said he didn't want to use his real name. And I'm thinking, how's that for confidence in me and my show?
I don't know what type of stuff I was getting into with you. Who knows?
So, hey, it's
now I'm back.
So he has the honor of being actually the second co-pilot on the, actually the first co-pilot on the Airline Pilot Guy show. A friend of mine, Steve Nelson, was a co-pilot of mine, and he's not even a pilot. And when I was doing the Catholic Pilot show, but Dana was my first Airline Pilot Guy co-pilot almost exactly 3 years ago. It was it the week before Halloween, I think, because you had, or you know, I thought he had these costume effects because we were close to Halloween, but now I know that he carries them with him all the time.
Well, yeah, I have to carry him with me all the time.
Yeah. Anyway, so great to have you. I'm glad that you agreed to come back on the show, and and I know that everybody watching and listening is probably just thrilled to see you again. And it looks just the same, doesn't he?
Thanks for having me back, guys. I appreciate the opportunity to sit here again with Captain Jeff and expound upon our aviation wealth of lack of knowledge, because whatever we say may or may not be true.
That's right. They know that.
Yeah, it's fun. I kind of saw his name on my rotation, and I got excited. I said, "Yeah, we'll go ahead and have a good 4-day trip again."
You got excited, huh?
Yeah, not there.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Well, it's not just Tony and I on this show. We also have somebody joining us from the Carolinas, a doctor, physician, commercial multi-engine instrument rated. Oh, why is it doing that again? Anyway, looks like it's fading out. No, it's not. It's still there. Okay.
I still hear it.
We have Dr. Steph joining us. Hello, Doctor.
Hello, Captain Jeff, and hello, Dana, if that's actually your real name. No,
No,
I'm
that's
probably
my real name.
I'm probably still going to call you Tony just because
That's okay.
I've
It's what I
spent
go
the
by
last
most of the time anyways.
3 years as Tony. But yep, for those of you who might just be joining in the first time, my name is Stephanie Plummer. I go by Dr. Steph here on the show because, as Captain Jeff said, I'm a physician here in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, which if you're watching the video, might recognize this is not my usual location. I'm actually in the hospital right now in one of the physician offices because I had a little bit of free time this afternoon and all of these guys were able to get together. And so I said, yeah, I can join you for a little bit, but had to bring all my equipment with me and do a show on the road for once, even though it's not too far from my house. But yeah, in my spare time, free time, whenever I get a little bit of it, and like to spend all my money on it to go out and go flying, mostly for personal enjoyment. But I do have a commercial certificate, multi-engine rating, instrument rating, all that good stuff. So glad to be back again.
Hey, I notice, looking here at the video, if you're joining us watching the video, you'll notice she's wearing a cap. It has a C on it. What is that? Is that for Cleveland?
What?
No.
No?
No, wrong C. So
Oh,
some of you who
So
listen for a while might
I'll give you a hint. The Billy Goat.
ever heard of that.
so yeah. So your cubbies are doing rather well. They're keeping themselves
Well,
alive.
They've gotten themselves out of trouble, at least for
Yeah,
the
that
moment.
was an exciting game last night.
Very good game last night. If you're listening to this after the fact, this is we're in the World Series 2016 right now. It's the Chicago Cubs against the Cleveland Indians, and I'm originally from Chicago. I was born there, grew up there for about 13 years before my family moved on and all over the place, but I still love the Chicago Cubs. And it's funny, this year I didn't actually make it back for any games, but the past couple of years I've been to a couple games in Wrigley each season, so that's always a lot of fun. I would have gone last weekend to one of the World Series games if I hadn't been on call. That kind of ruined things for me, but oh well. Watching it on TVs.
Yeah, but yeah, we watch it on TV. It's still exciting, isn't it?
It's
Not the
always
same.
very exciting. But going into Game 7 tonight, and the series is all tied up 3-3, so go Cubbies.
So tonight, one team or the other will have won the World Series. So
That's right.
very cool. All right, and let's see. Also, we have somebody joining us from over the pond, and this gentleman is a very distinguished man, and he is a captain, commander of wide-body Airbuses flying for a European airline, and he joins us almost every week, and we're glad he does. The talented, the creative, the good-looking gentleman, Captain Nick.
You have to be careful there, Jeff. You know,
Oh, no,
someone's
I got
going
to
to pull you up.
crazy with that, should I? Can I?
Well, hi, Jeff. Hi, Tony Stroke, Dana. And hi, Steph. Nice to see you all again. Tony, great to see you. It's I have had listened to that show you were on. I really enjoyed it. So great to have you on today. No, you're very welcome. Yeah, as Jeff says, I do the Airbus thing in Europe, but I actually fly across to the States most of the time. So luckily, I'm quite able to meet up with the guys in Atlanta every now and again, perhaps, or Miami, wherever I happen to be, which is always great fun. I've got a bit of military in my background, so if you have any queries about that, then I'm your man.
We were in, was it Detroit yesterday? And we saw an Acme Red jet taxiing in front of us. And I thought, oh, I wonder if that's Captain. Oh, that's not Captain Nick. I know he's at home.
He cut you off quite rudely, actually.
Yeah, it happens all the time. That's because they know we're polite Englishmen and we won't complain.
We can take advantage of you and your chivalry.
Yeah, you can.
Anyhow, so, all right. Well, so hope everybody is doing well. We talked about the Cubs and Dr. Steph's goings on. How about you, Nick? What have you been flying lately, or what's going on with you?
Got back from, where had I been? Somewhere in the States. Can you remember? Was it Atlanta? You weren't there.
Yeah, I think
Is
it was
that
Atlanta.
right?
Yeah, we were there. That was the last show, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So long
right.
ago.
So I got
I know it feels so long
it does seem
ago.
forever. So I got back from there, and I've been at home. This is my because I'm only part time now. I've got an 85% contract with Acme, and I've applied to reduce that to 75%. So I'll even have more days off. I'm currently enjoying my spare time, and I've got some time here. The house is a bit of a mess still. Still got builders in, so everything's junked up in this room, which is where I do my photography and do my podcasting. So apologies for that. My next trip isn't till middle of next week, where I'm off to deepest, darkest Africa, as you well know.
Oh, your
my
favorite trip.
place.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yuck.
Yeah. So if we're going to have you on the show next week, Nick, we're going to have to do it early in the week before you leave.
Yeah, that would be ideal. Or I get back on Friday, so I
Okay.
get back in time to do an evening show if you happen to be here.
Okay. We'll try to work one or the other. Let's see. I have some news, if that's all
Yes.
right.
Of course.
What is
Okay,
your news?
Well,
It's your show.
it is that we finally have some APG merchandise available for purchase again. Yes. We have teamed up with Teespring again. We've had a couple of campaigns with them in the past. And if you want to see what's available, basically shirts and coffee mugs and hoodies, and we're going to be adding more stuff as time goes on, but I just threw up those three things for now. This is one of these things where they have a campaign that runs a certain number of days, but I have it set up so they automatically renew after the campaign ends. And looks like Teespring has some printers and facilities over in the EU and UK, and now that you're not part of the EU. And so shipping should work out more quickly and more should be more affordable. So check out the merchandise by going to airlinepilotguide.com/store, and then you'll see the graphic there, and then you click on that, it takes you to the Teespring site. So just wanted to mention that. I know that a lot of people have been asking about the store and being able to purchase mugs and stuff. So.
And one thing to add to that, I actually still have a fair number of the Farnborough t-shirts, which are allocated for specific people. So I need to actually sit down and put that list together. So if you're out there and wondering, if you had originally ordered one going way back, I don't know how many months ago now, it's likely that I still have one for you if you have not gotten it yet. So I'm going to put that list together. I keep saying I'm going to do that. The box of t-shirts got relegated to a far corner of my house when we were doing some remodeling and putting in new flooring downstairs, but I pulled it out the other day and I just need to get that organized. So
Okay.
I'll do
And
that.
we do if you're new or maybe you hadn't been following us recently and you'd made an order to the last vendor that we were working with, we are still working to try to get your money refunded and that all taken care of. And we it was a situation that was unfortunate, and we are doing our best to try to make it right for everyone. So if you have a specific thing that you want to contact us about, please don't hesitate to do so, and we'll see if we can make it right. But I got an email from Daniel in Sweden, and he was wondering about how that was going, and he said that he was able to get a hold of the person responsible for the shirts last time around, and that he is still trying to make sure that everybody is getting refunds and that kind of thing. So don't give up, please. We're doing our best to kind of right the ship, as they say. So anything else to add on that, Steph? I know you've been working really hard to try to make things right as well.
Yeah, no, but I do have t-shirts, and ultimately I need to get them out of my house. So like I said, if you think you ordered one, if you're not sure, you can send me an email, Dr. Steph, that's DRSTEPH @airlinepilotguide.com, and I will do my best to get back to you in a timely fashion. If you sent me an email and I did not reply to you for some reason, send me an email again. I get like 100 emails a day, so I try to sort through them all and stay on top of them, and I will do my best to make sure you get it.
Yeah, it's a little overwhelming, isn't it?
Well, it's not all. It's mostly work and junk mail stuff actually that I get.
Oh.
This is a small
Oh.
portion of the total emails.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I also want everybody to know that we, the airline pilot guy community or crew or whatever you want to call it, didn't get anything from. We didn't like get a lot of money, and we're holding it all to ourselves. It's actually, this whole thing has cost us a lot of money actually. So the whole point of it was try to have something for everybody to be able to wear and be proud of their community, and hopefully maybe help support the community as well. But it's actually gone the other way around. So we're trying to, as I said, we're going to do it right this time. So just hang in there with us, and everything will be okay, I think. Anything else to add?
Nope.
No.
I love you, Captain Jeff.
I love you too, man. Speaking of,
He's right next to me. I can hold hands with him. We can do what's called a coupled approach. You hold hands on shooting the ILS on the throttle. Yeah.
Tony,
Don't be too jealous, Nick.
Can you give him a kiss? Can you give him a kiss for me, because I'm too far away?
is that you whimpering over there, Jeff? Yeah, it's really low visibility. I don't know if I can do this. Anyway, hey, if you're, we're going to talk about the coffee fund here in a minute. But before we do, we want to mention that, and you've heard us mention this before, one of the perks of being a contributor to the Airline Pilot Guy Coffee Fund is that from time to time you get to hear some captain's logs, or now we're calling it the APG crew log, and Captain Nick has put out some great ones lately. I mean, it's just, he's a very creative person and a very prolific coffee fund crew log producer. And I just wanted to give you a little snippet, a little bit of a taste of what it might be like if you were a contributor to the coffee fund, or the coffee fund cadre. You're going to get to hear stuff like this.
Economic as you can, because if you're carrying lots of water to flush the loos, it's going to sit there in the potable water tanks. Potable.
Nick, did you do that on purpose?
Yep. I knew. As soon as I said that, I thought, that's really going to hack you off. I didn't even know you listened to them.
Anyway, somebody actually pointed that out to me. I think it was it Sir Neville? I think he was. It was.
Yeah. Well,
thank you, Nev.
He's the stickler for potable water.
Yeah, I was telling, what's your name again? Dana, that that's one of my pet peeves, is the mispronunciation of that word. And anyway, we don't want to go into that too much. Go down that hole.
You call me your
Well,
excellency.
perhaps since we're correcting each other, I would have mentioned we are still in the EU. We haven't even activated Clause 50 yet. And even when we do, it'll take 2 years to come out. So I'll probably be retired before we actually come out.
Okay, well then the record is corrected. We don't have to correct that on the next episode. So, if you are in the EU, which does include the UK at this point, you now have shipping directly from some outlets in that area of the world. So that should work out well for everybody. So yesterday, day one of this 4-day trip that Dana and I are on, we were... let's see, I guess it was the first leg, wasn't it? Atlanta to Madison?
Madison, Wisconsin. Yeah, sure.
And so, I was telling Dana, kind of catching him up with the Airline Pilot Guy show, since he was on 3 years ago.
I was so mad.
Yeah, he's going, wow, this thing really took off. Maybe I should have stuck around. But no, he went off in his own way. But
I never got an invitation.
Well, there's a reason for that. Okay.
Yeah, thanks. You guys
Neither
have a
did
great
I,
show.
Dana.
See you later.
No, I was telling him honestly, that that was just kind of like a one
night stand.
Yeah, one night stand. I had no intention of doing a show where I'd actually have other co-hosts doing the show with me. It wasn't until 2015 that Stephanie, the first, and Rick, the second co-host, joined me. And then it wasn't until earlier this year, 2016, that Captain Nick joined the crew. So this
but
is really
you always will remember he's breaking your virginity.
Yes,
You'll always
Yes.
be the
Special.
first.
Yeah,
I'm always going to
you
be
always
first.
remember your first. So whatever that means. So anyway, I was kind of catching him up with the whole thing and how the whole thing has exploded and the community is just amazing. And so we landed in Madison and we thought, hey, let's go. We have time to get something to eat, find some breakfast out here in the terminal. So you're walking up the jetway and this gate agent was there.
Yeah,
And so I saw her name tag and I said, are you Casey? Because that's her name, Casey. And she goes, well, yes. And she said, are you? And she looks down at my name tag and it says Captain Jeff Nielsen, or no, it just says Jeff Nielsen. She goes, are you Captain Jeff? And I'm thinking, she's just playing this game, right? And I said, yes, I am. She goes, I have your app. And I went, oh.
You missed part of the story.
And so then I said to her,
do you know who I am? I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal. People know me. I'm very important. I have many leather-bound books, and my apartment smells of rich mahogany.
and that really impressed her, let me tell you. So no, it was so cool. It was so fun that this gate agent actually has the Airline Pilot Guy app and listens to our shows. So a big shout out to Casey.
Hi, Casey.
Hi, Casey.
Yeah.
Hi,
And
Casey.
here, let's hear from her. This is Casey at Madison.
Hi, everybody.
That's it? Okay. Okay.
Nice to meet you all. Nice to meet Jeff here.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you too.
Thank you. You sound just like you do. Too.
So I just thought that was fun. It's a small world.
She
Isn't
was saying,
Aviation's a small
you sound
world.
exactly like you do on the podcast, but you're shorter in person.
Thanks.
No.
He's portly.
Actually, what? Wait a minute. What is this? Make fun of Jeff?
No, I was
Day or
talking about
something?
myself, actually.
No.
Sure.
That's just what everyone always says when they see, like, big movie stars,
Oh yeah,
people on
except
TV. Like, "Ooh,
when I
they're
saw Nick
shorter
for
in
the
person."
first time, though, it was like I'm looking up at this very tall man. You kind of look like that guy that calls himself Captain Nick, but you're a lot taller than I was expecting. Anyway, so that was a lot of fun. And
Did you hug and kiss?
Eventually,
Captain
it
Nick
took
and
a
I?
while to break.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Well, we had a few beers. And anybody that's seen
A few.
episode 200, you'll know
Few.
that is actually
Incredible.
true. We did have a lot of beers, or at least I did. Okay. Yeah, if you want to see Captain Jeff cry, watch episode 200 toward the end.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna go there. I
Okay.
could go so many places, but this is a family program.
Yes. Also met up with, you've heard him send in feedback in the past, Bill Blaster Price. And he had a trip to a layover in Atlanta, came in on a red eye, and then he took a nap. And then I met with him early afternoon, and we went over to the Waffle House because he said I love the Waffle House, and I do too, actually. And so we had a great personal meetup, and that was a lot of fun. So thank you, Bill, for meeting up with me, and had a great time.
And I worked at the Waffle House.
Yes. You know what, though, is funny about that?
At 20 Chief.
He's, of course, the people listening to the audio podcast can't see this, but I'll probably include a picture of Dana, Tony, whatever we call him, with his very,
Call
very,
me anything, but never call me late for dinner. Obviously.
his bad teeth. But I used to have bad teeth like that I used when I was a co-pilot. And one time I slipped them in at a Waffle House and nobody really even noticed. It wasn't that funny. No,
You fit in.
I guess. I don't know. Okay, so I guess anything else we want to talk about before we move on to the coffee fund?
Mm,
I just have to say one thing. No offense, Tara, if you're listening, because she's my friend that's a manager at the Waffle House.
No, I love the Waffle House. I'm serious, and they're good people. I mean, I'm not joking.
Yeah,
They are very
truly,
good people.
truly good people.
Yeah, and they're all over the place. So you have a wide variety of people.
Just don't go by the FBI. Look at the photos on the wall.
Huh?
The photos on the wall at the FBI, America's Most Wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, they might be working there at the Waffle House.
Oh, see, I was trying trying to be nice, and now you're just making it go in the other direction. Man. What are we going to do with you? All right, so
Have fun.
it is now time for the Coffee Fund.
Johnny, how much more coffee?
No thanks.
Can you sing? I love coffee, I love tea. I can't either, but love the Java jive and it loves me. Coffee and tea and the Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup. Take it away, Tony. No, just kidding. The Coffee Fund, if you're wondering why I'm playing this, is your way to participate as part of the APG community in a financial way. That is only if you can afford to do so. As we said so many times, if you're saving your money to pay for your car insurance and your house and your food and your clothing and most importantly, flying, especially if you're a student pilot, please do not send any money to us because it will be wasted if you did that. So we want you to keep your money. But if you have some extra change in your pocket, as they say, and you don't know what to do with it, send it to the Airline Pilot Guy Coffee Fund, and you can become part of the Coffee Fund cadre. And as we mentioned before, one of the perks, and it's actually a significant perk, is access to the APG crew log. So consider it. Since the last show, these folks did. Steve Trumbull, actually, Trumbell, he is a recurrent donator to the Coffee Fund Classic method. Also using the Coffee Fund Classic method, Richard Brooks and William Glover. And I believe all of those actually have contributed in the past. And another way to do it is this thing we call Patreon. And we have a couple of new Patreon patrons since the last show. Let's see, not only new ones, but actually some folks that have actually upped their, actually, why am I saying that word so much? I don't know. Let's see, Derek is new, I believe. Alex Valinsky, also new. Ross Gridley, also new. And then Edward Suarez, I think he's a pretty new Patreon, or patron on Patreon. Wow, it's hard to say all those words. And he's already upped his weekly or his per episode pledge. He's doubled it. So thank you so much, Eduardo, for your very generous contribution to the Airline Pilot Guy show. Now, if you want us to quit doing the show, then don't send us any money. But if you like the show and you want us to keep doing it, please consider the Coffee Fund. More information about it on airlinepilotguy.com/coffee.
So you mentioned coffee, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So what was up with that poor coffee that you threw away when we got here after you flew for 3 hours down to Orlando?
Well, that was free coffee. That was airplane coffee. So
that's
I'm not,
that airplane coffee?
yeah, but see, I didn't use the Coffee Fund to pay for that coffee.
No, you didn't.
Right.
No,
So
you didn't.
I'm trying to be a good steward of Coffee Fund contributions.
Right, so Starbucks would have been a better choice.
That is Starbucks.
It is?
Yeah.
That just shows you don't drink coffee. And the airline pilot that doesn't drink coffee, doesn't drink tea.
No, you know
actually
what? I've
don't
noticed
drink any caffeine at all.
You don't.
No, not a bit.
And I know it's not because you're a Mormon, because I know you're not a Mormon. Far from it.
Fine. I have 4 wives.
Yeah, but that's called polygamy. It's not called being Mormon.
I'm with
But
you. I
they don't want
don't. I
to
don't
do
drink
it.
any caffeine or coffee.
No, she.
You don't really?
No,
Nope.
she's
I
not
thought
okay. You know what I've noticed? I don't know. Maybe you have too, Captain Nick. That the newer generation of folks, a lot of them don't drink coffee.
A lot of them don't drink full stop.
Don't drink full
stop.
No,
They-
that's,
they-
That's all
I
those
don't-
British things.
what does that
Well,
mean?
That's a slight pause. They don't drink coffee, alcohol, anything that's vaguely exciting, which is a bit of a worry.
What's wrong with these people?
But I see Tony's not in that area.
No.
No, I'm not in that camp either. So
Yeah, well, there is that.
Yeah, let's don't talk
Water.
about our vices. He is
Water
drinking
now.
a lot of water. With a little spirit in it.
Splash.
That's Splash.
of
All
bourbon.
right. Wow, this show is just like amazing.
It's awesome.
Stand by for news.
And we got a lot of it. All right. Well, 3 major airline-related accidents in the past week. Almost, why don't they space this out a little bit better for us to talk about so we can concentrate on each one every week? But no, they got to do all 3 in the same
everything
week.
it comes in threes, right? Everything comes in
That's
threes.
what they say.
I hear
Like these pilots.
Well, I just think they try. I think they just try and cram all these Boeing incidents together so that we can only talk about them for a short time.
There it is.
No, one of them wasn't a Boeing.
That's true.
You find they're owned by Boeing now.
Oh, you mean like the F4 Phantom and the FA-18?
Yeah, they might have been built by someone else, but they're now sort of Boeing, aren't they? No, the MD-11, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was MD-10.
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 Yeah.
MD-10 there. Wasn't that taken over by Boeing?
I think that
Aren't they in
they had
charge?
stopped doing that, the construction or production of that
Have they?
airplane long before Boeing.
I might forgive them that then.
Actually, the only aircraft that was taken over by Boeing was the now infamous 717. Was the only aircraft still in production when Boeing took over.
You mean the MD-95?
MD-95, which is the proper term, or as I like to call it, the puppy dog,
The mad puppy.
F-18?
the mad pup,
Yeah. No, we're talking about the
F-18.
The angry puppy? Isn't that what it's?
the angry puppy.
angry puppy,
Yeah, there you go.
mad dog, and then the super dog, the mighty dog, which is the 90.
Yeah. Well, okay. So
But
let's
wasn't
see.
the F-18 in production?
I don't know.
That's a good question. I don't
when
know.
Boeing took over.
That's true. I
And
mean,
they're
it's
still building
under
Super
production.
Hornets. So
Yeah. Well, who knows except for you?
put their damn sticker on it.
Can you tell that Captain Nick's a little sore about that?
No, he's not.
Anyway, let's try to get this thing back on track. Eastern Airlines, yes, Eastern Airlines, which is not the Eastern Airlines of the past,
yeah.
but they, I think, how many airplanes do they have? Like 2 or 3.
2 or 3, it's all charter operation.
and
we saw it today in LaGuardia.
Yeah, we saw it's kind of sitting off to the side at LaGuardia earlier today.
We should have taken a photo. Why did you think of that?
I don't know, because we were being professional and we're not allowed to do that kind of thing.
Tell me about your landing today then.
Eastern Airlines, the charter company, chartered by Governor Mike Pence, the running mate of Donald Trump, was on board the flight on October 27th when they came in for landing at LaGuardia on runway 22. The weather at the time was not great. It was raining. Let me look at the METAR here. Looks like it was 3 miles visibility, some gusty winds. By the way, looking at these winds, 090 at 9, and then it went to 100 degrees, 10 gusty to 15. That's a tailwind, a little bit of a tailwind, by the way. Landing on a not very long runway at night with not heavy rain, but just rain, RA, 3 miles visibility, and mist and 1,000 overcast. So it wasn't great. A lot of the runway was wet, and they came in and I'm not sure yet if they touched down too far down the runway or if they touched down in the normal spot and then just started hydroplaning. They're still investigating this whole thing, but they got very close to the end of the runway. Oh, no, they actually exceeded the end of the runway and went through a little bit of the engineered materials arresting system, EMAS, and that ended up helping stop them and kept them from going even further, like into a roadway. So I have a little bit of audio to go with this if you want to listen, and this is kind of edited a little bit. The previous airplanes that landed ahead of them were giving braking action reports and believe that they were mostly good and some fair to good. Excuse me, medium to good. Here we go.
Good job, Jeff.
Previous arrival, CRD to report it started good retention.
Sorry, 103452, checking in ILS 22. Tower JetBlue 1640, 3 miles outside Greco for 22.
Triple 3 Tower, good evening, and the 3 continue.
New York, Eastern 3452 checking in, ILS runway 22.
Eastern 3452, go to target evening number 2, following the Sierra Day 7. 3.5 miles ahead, explain clearance about 2 miles out.
Roger.
JetBlue 1640, favor reduced final approach for space.
Slowing now, JetBlue 1640.
Yeah, JetBlue 1640, favor reduced final approach for spacing.
Say again?
Favor reduced to final approach speed for spacing.
We're there, 140 knots.
Delta 2692, contact nearest departure today.
2692.
American 890, traffic 3 out for runway 22, wind 110 at 9, runway 13, clear for takeoff.
Runway 13, clear for takeoff, American 890.
Number 3752, look out 8 tower, traffic 9 runway 22, runway 13, line point.
And confirm Eastern 3452 is clear to land.
Eastern 3452, runway 22, clear land, wind 110 at 9, traffic departing, holding position runway 13.
Clear to land, Eastern 3452, copy traffic.
Air 6334, left Yankee, left Bravo, contact ground, please 7 to 8.
Left Yankee, left Bravo, ground point 7.
American 890, contact nearest departure to flight.
Connect. LaGuardia target evening, JetBlue 1198, ILS 22.
JetBlue on the LaGuardia target evening number 3, continue the approach.
JetBlue 1198, Wilco.
Number 3753, traffic 2.5 out for runway 2, runway 13, clear for takeoff.
Takeoff on 13.
Delta 317, LaGuardia target, traffic 922, 129 point.
2 on the way, Delta 178. Looking for landing clearance for JetBlue 1640.
JetBlue 1640, runway 22, clear to land, traffic holding 613.
Clear to land, JetBlue 1640.
Eastern, stop, Eastern.
Now, if she just said that a little bit earlier, they may have stopped.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit of the traffic. So LaGuardia, this is common almost all the time. You know, they're taking off on one runway and they're landing on another, and they're just like taking turns. So in between each of the arrivals, we have takeoffs going on. A lot going on for a tower controller there, and just thought it was interesting, the audio for, I guess you looked out the window and saw the 737 not really decelerating at all and going off the end of the runway. But I guess that would just be a natural human reaction to say, stop, what are you doing? Don't go off the runway.
She sounds like a mother. That's exactly what a mother would say to a child as they're misbehaving.
Yeah.
Stop. Mm-hmm. It's too late. They already drank the bottle of vinegar. A Lysol.
I don't know
Jeff,
what he's
that
talking about.
retardant material they've got at the end of that runway, it's not common that I haven't seen it. It may be common, I don't know. I haven't seen it or noted it on other airfields. What's the particular reason for it on that runway, do you know?
Well, most runways have a lot of room in the overrun area and beyond the overrun area for if airplanes have an excursion, for them to, you know, to get rid of their energy and come to a stop. At LaGuardia, there is no room. There is a very limited amount of space between the end of the runway and then, like,
the water,
either water or a road.
PreBuy.
So they had to come up with some kind of a system to dissipate the energy quickly. And this engineer materials arresting system is basically the stuff that, once it's under a certain amount of weight, it just basically crumbles, and it just really is effective in stopping very, very heavy airplanes with a lot of energy. Other places you'd see that would be Midway.
Midway has it. Yep.
I think that there was
DC.
DC, yeah. Let's see, that Charleston, West Virginia. I've never flown there before, but there was an accident a few years back. I think we talked about it on a show. It was an RJ that they didn't have the proper configuration for takeoff, and as they were rolling, the captain decided to change the configuration, and then of course they got all the takeoff warnings and everything else, and they aborted, and they ended up going through the EMAS system, and it did a very effective job of stopping the airplane.
And Captain Nick, I think you've probably flown into Boston before, correct?
Yeah.
Captain Nick, are you there?
Captain Nick?
He said yeah.
Is there a bit of lag? Because
you've flown into Boston before, right?
I'm sorry, we didn't hear you.
Yeah,
I definitely
Logan, they have EMAS as well. On,
okay.
especially runway 927 and I think 22 left or right. I'm pretty sure they have.
7, that's the little short F.
Yeah, that's the one you would be using actually.
Yeah, I don't think you'd be using
Yeah,
that
that's
with
the
a
one, that's the
330.
one
or
we're
3
trying to avoid.
I know at the end of 22 right, at the approach end of that, as we're taking the runway for takeoff, I always notice they have an EMAS system
Yeah.
there.
I'm pretty sure a lot of airports are putting it in the larger internationally. I think even JFK probably on the harbor side, 22s.
Yeah,
4,
just to keep airplanes from getting really wet.
Getting wet, yeah. So
Yeah.
not a good idea.
Yeah.
Although U.S. Air Captain Sully and Jeff Skiles, who everybody forgets,
They purposely
landed
the airplane.
Yeah, they did a good job of that one. They sure did.
I don't know what all the fuss is about. I mean, you and I land airplanes on runways all the time, and we never get. I don't have a movie. Do you?
And I don't either. Yeah. And every one of us would have done the same exact thing.
Oversight, I'm sure. We'll
Yes.
get some people on that for you.
Anyway, so we'll see what happens in the investigation of this. But I don't think there was really any major damage at all to the airplane. I couldn't. At least it didn't look like it had any major damage.
I don't know what kind of damage is done to a plane when it goes through the EMAS stuff. Like I don't know how.
I don't know
what that really does to, the gear or underbelly of the airplane. So we'll see.
Yeah.
So there was no suggestion of this there being an element of pressure to put on the guys to land in poor conditions, because it sounds like they were operating perfectly normally there.
Yeah, it was just operations, normal operations.
Yeah. I think initially there was some speculation about it just because it was a charter flight for Governor Pence and he had an event to attend, and they said, well, gosh, maybe pressure to go in the rain. But you listen to that and clearly there's many other flights that are getting in and out just fine. So it wasn't.
It's LaGuardia. It's a snafu place.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that term, snafu. I mean, LaGuardia is just a goat rope.
Yeah.
Of an airport.
It's a challenging airport to land at, even in the best conditions. All right. Let's move on with this one. I believe this was the second one in the chain of 3. Let's see. Let's listen to a little audio. This is at Chicago's O'Hare International.
American 383 Heavy, runway 2 right at November 5, line up away, wind 20014. Line up away, American 383 Heavy. American 383 Heavy, turn left heading 220, runway 2 right at November 5, clear for takeoff. Left turn to 220, clear for takeoff, American 383 Heavy. American 383 Heavy, stopping on the runway.
Roger, fire.
You see any smoke or fire?
Yeah, fire off the right wing.
Okay, send out the truck.
Sending them.
Okay, that was on tower control. And noticed how cool and calm and collected that radio transmission was. We're stopping the takeoff. And immediately the controller said, Roger, fire. It's like it was obvious that there was something really badly going on there, going badly. This is what we heard on ground control frequency. You're on.
Everyone on the airport can stop. Everyone stop.
We're stopping at 16.
Okay, so you don't hear that very often on a major airport like that. Everybody stop. Stop.
I'm flying.
It's just
Do I have to stop too?
It's just
Yes.
like the LaGuardia controller.
That was ground
Stop,
control.
Stop.
So I think it was okay. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about this accident. And it was an American Airlines Boeing 767-300 operating flight 383, as we just heard, from Chicago to Miami. But they didn't get very far. They never even got airborne. 161 passengers and 9 crew, accelerating for takeoff. And they rejected the takeoff at high speed. And there was quite a blaze coming from the right-hand engine, which was a GE CF6, and a large black plume of smoke rising above the aircraft. The crew initiated an emergency evacuation via slides. 19 passengers and 1 flight attendant received minor injuries in the evacuation and were taken to hospitals. The aircraft received substantial damage. The fuselage skin melted off the right-hand wing. That right wing looked really sad. It was like drooping.
It was like
all the way
yeah, it
down.
was hanging all the way down.
And the outboard part of the right-hand wing. Oh, I just spread that. And the inner part substantially burned. I guess most of the right side of that aircraft really sustained substantial damage. And I think I read somewhere there that that's going to be a hull loss. In other words, that airplane is never going to see the air or experience flight again in its life.
One less Boeing.
Yep. Oh.
Did I hear they found one of the compressor discs like half a mile away inside some warehouse?
Yes.
Yep.
UPS.
The UPS warehouse. No, I think I was talking about this with somebody, and there was somebody who made a comment on the Aviation Herald website regarding that, and then I was trying to find it to point him to it, and it was gone. I'm thinking, oh well, maybe that was just a troll or something, But it turns out that now that information is in the body of the article on the Aviation Herald, where let's see. On October 29th, the NTSB reported that an examination of the right-hand engine revealed the number 2 stage high-pressure turbine disc had failed, ejecting parts of the disc, which landed in a UPS warehouse about 2,920 feet from the aircraft. So far, about 90% of the disc have been recovered. So another one was recovered from about 0.3 nautical miles from the accident site. Boy, I tell you what, that thing is really zinging. Now, the engines are designed, right, Captain Nick, to contain this kind of a failure?
Well, that's exactly right. They're certified, and they are supposed to be able to contain engine failures. So, I mean, for the very reason that if it had gone the opposite direction and entered the fuselage, we wouldn't be looking at a fatality-free incident, I expect. So that's actually kind of going to be a major concern for GE and for Boeing, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess it could have been a lot worse. I think the crew handled this admirably. In fact, the co-pilot I was flying with on my last trip said he had flown one of his, no, actually it was Bill. He said that he had flown with TWA at one point, and he actually knew the captain on this. And he said he's a very, very nice guy, laid back, very, very funny guy. But he did a wonderful job of stopping the takeoff at a very high speed.
Yeah, I thought they did a brilliant job, Jeff, right up to the point they had that selfie taken in front of their wrecked airplane.
That was not a selfie.
Because I was thinking, well, all right, they didn't do it themselves. Someone took a picture of them posing in front of their airplane,
right,
which is almost worse. So I'm thinking that probably wasn't the smartest thing you could have done in your career, guys. But there you go. Each to their own.
So, yeah, what do you think was wrong with that then?
Well, it's like some guy shoots a lion and then poses in front of it with his gun. It's like, oh, look, here I crashed this airplane. So here I am standing in front of the burnt wreckage.
Oh, see, I had kind of an opposite take on that. It was, we had this happen and, aside from the airplane, everything turned out okay. There were 20 minor injuries, but no one died. We handled it appropriately, and we can live to tell the tale.
Yeah. Okay. Perhaps I'm just thinking it from an airline PR point of view. The last thing you really want to do is have the crew standing in front of a wrecked airplane, because it emphasizes the problem that happened to that airplane. What you really want to do is have the crew being congratulated by the CEO or something, the CEO of the company, rather than taking yet another picture in front of the burnout wreckage, which all the passengers who used to fly with them are going, geez, that's all very well, but look the hell, what happened to your airplane? You must be a dangerous airline, surely.
But Nick, nobody's going to believe you when you say, hey, you remember that American Airlines, the engine caught on fire and the crew did an amazing job. That was me. Here, let me show you my picture.
And the wing melted?
But yeah.
The wing melted right off.
I'm not saying
I would have to say that I agree with you.
But
I'm sorry.
I wouldn't have put it on Facebook or something. I would have kept it a bit more private, but at least until the aftermath of all the tension had died down a little bit. Yeah,
I think I agree with you, Nick. Knowing that our Acme airline has certain policies regarding media attention or talking to the media. I think they would find that would fall under the guise of really not to talk to anybody or post anything about the incident until there's some type of investigation or goes through the corporate communications.
I think the score here is 2-2. I'm with Steph.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really see anything wrong with that at all. And the only
I
thing
will say I can see it I can certainly see it from the airlines PR point of view. So.
I still can't.
But I don't think there's anything wrong.
The only
with
thing
the
that I would do
image
differently,
inherently.
I would have, if somebody was about to take the picture, I would go I'd be pointing at the other guy like it was his fault. Okay.
Fair enough.
Let's see. And then let's talk about incident. Yes, ma'am.
I was going to say, just kind of piggybacking on that, that wasn't the only photo or video to come out of that. I don't know if you want to get into that aspect of it again. Once again, people taking all of their luggage with them. I know that
never happens.
Never. People haven't.
Never. Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of discussion about that in various places, including in the APG community about what is wrong with these people, taking their bags with them. And we keep having this conversation. And now I don't know if Acme, do they say anything about that in the safety briefing? Do not take your bags.
I'm pretty sure that's in the safety card in the briefing that
I don't remember that, but maybe it is.
I think it's on that safety card.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in Acme Red Jet, it's definitely part of the evacuation message that they give you when they tell you to evacuate. They specifically say, leave everything. So
I think our flight attendants do that when they're yelling all the commands.
I'm
not sure though. Fortunately, I've not been in one of the situations where I've heard them yelling all that stuff.
I'm just waiting for somebody to come out down the slide with their suitcase, a drone shining a laser pen. That'd be just perfect, wouldn't it?
The trifecta.
Yeah. So Janelle Egan in St. Louis wrote to us saying, Brent, aka Miami Hick, and I were having a conversation via Twitter about the recent American Airlines 76 with the uncontained engine failure and subsequent fire. There have been many pictures circulating showing passengers who have exited the aircraft and then did not get to what appeared to be a safe distance at all. I'm not well versed on what a, quote, safe distance might be when the plane you're standing near is on fire, but I'm guessing a few hundred yards at the very least. My question is, who, if anyone, is tasked with assembling the passengers and moving them to a safe distance once an aircraft is evacuated? Is there anyone? Or is this something left up to the folks who are now likely in shock and scared to determine on their own? I'm sure the flight crew has innumerable other duties at this time, so it leaves me wondering. Thanks again for your amazing show and all the hard work you do you put into it each week. So I see in the corner in my peripheral vision, I see a first officer sitting next to me, raising his hand. Yes.
Well, my job is once the captain has ordered the evacuation, is to go ahead and evacuate the aircraft and lead the passengers away from the aircraft. Of course, the flight attendants will still be on the aircraft helping with the evacuation to be one of the first off the aircraft, not because I want to be, but because I need to be the leader outside the aircraft, escorting the passengers as far away from the aircraft as we can.
Absolutely. My job is to basically be the last person on the ship before the ship goes down.
Captain Smith.
Yeah, captain, to make sure that everybody is off the airplane, and that's exactly what Sully Sullenberger did and if you've seen the movie, you see him going through the cabin and making sure that everybody is safely off of the airplane before he left the airplane himself. So that's a good question. Anything to add to that, Captain Nick?
Yeah, I've seen a couple of evacuation movies in the UK, and the emergency services here have specific vehicles, and I've put a show notes have these elevated signs that come up off the roof, and they have great big illuminated arrows showing the passengers where to move to, and then there is an assembly point created by another vehicle. So that is all controlled by the guys who drive up to the aircraft that is evacuating, and those guys are usually there. There are the normal blokes that drive around in the yellow Land Rovers around airports, clearing seagulls and picking up foreign objects off the runway, that kind of stuff. These are the same guys that will direct if the event of an evacuation, and they create these assembly points and they direct people. So yes, the first officer, if it's somewhere where this sort of thing wouldn't be available, same in our company, does the directing and the assembly. But in the UK, certainly in the major airports, I know they have this all well organized to get people well away from the aircraft to a minimum safe distance.
Yeah, one of the dangers, not only to an airplane that's on fire, could be exploding, is the fact that, like the San Francisco incident, where if you're not, far away from the airplane, you could, get run over by a firefighting vehicle. So it's a very dangerous place to be.
Oh, sorry. Maybe I missed it when I stepped away for just a moment there, but did you guys mention, is there a specific minimum safe distance that you're trying to get everyone to? So, Dean, if you're leading
specified,
if you're leading that evacuation,
specified.
Okay, just as far away as possible, probably, or practical. Okay,
go that way, which is the opposite direction of the airplane.
Opposite direction of
that way, as far as you can go.
Yeah,
got it.
But that's a good question.
You have to remember that a lot of the materials aircraft are made of are pretty toxic. So not only is there the problem of the fire and the huge volume of fuel, especially on a big aircraft, some of the material burning can be a significant health hazard, let alone what might be in the cargo hold. So that's going to go off and not be very nice. So the one thing we need to do is get well away.
Absolutely.
Especially nowadays with that Samsung 7 and all of us with our lithium-ion battery-operated devices. I mean, there's a much higher chance, I think, of a fire on an aircraft now than back in the old days.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, when all we had was matches and cigarettes.
Yeah, exactly.
I still can't believe those days we were smoking up a storm on these airplanes.
Absolutely.
We used a bunch. Here's another event that occurred recently.
Talking about
FedEx MD10 heavy. We're approaching Novi at about 10 left.
FedEx MD10 heavy, Fort Lauderdale, tag for leaving 105018 west 23, runway 10 left, clear land.
Clear land on 10 left, FedEx MD10 heavy. Okay, so that's information, midnight checking out for the ILS 10 left.
789, Fort Lauderdale, tag, caution, wing, turn inside, heavy DC 10, additional departures, 105014, 22, runway 10 left, clear to land.
10 left, clear number 2, so estimation midnight.
JetBlue 536, contact Miami departure, good day.
Departure 536, good day.
Delta 1753, Fort Lauderdale, tag, caution, wing, turn inside, heavy DC 10, additional traffic 6 mile final, runway 10 left, line up point.
10 left, line up wait, Delta 1753.
Delta 1753, if you can hold short of 10 left.
Yeah, we're hoping short, we see that.
Southwest 2789, cancel approach clearance, climb and maintain 2000, maintain heading 095.
We're going missed. And heading of 095 up to what was it, 3000?
2000, maintain 2000.
2000.
That's just an example of how you're not really expecting for something like that. I'm sure it was
It was like, wait, what? Oh,
it was a nice day.
What did he say?
Yeah. Well, okay. And you can hear some warning horn going off in the back. Whatever. Did he just tell us to go around?
Really?
And they're probably looking at what's happening on the airport in front of them. Mm-hmm. And what was happening on the airport, on the runway in front of them, is a FedEx MD10, which is basically a modernized version of the C10 with improved instrumentation and such. I believe it was that mod that made it from a 3 crew airplane to a 2 crew airplane. That was one of the things that did.
I don't know.
I think so.
Probably
yeah.
so, though.
But a lot of people were saying it was an MD11, but it wasn't. It was an MD10. And MD-11s have had a history of landing issues. One in Japan, one at Newark a few years back that basically was not a good landing because actually it was a good landing because they walked away from it, but you couldn't use the airplane again. So it wasn't a great landing. But anyway, I digress. They found out that this was not the MD-11, but it was an MD-10, which really doesn't have a history of these kind of accidents. And what happened was, for some reason, we're not sure what that reason is yet, as far as I'm aware, the left main gear truck, all the wheels, the four wheels and the left main gear collapsed on landing. And of course, that meant that the left engine or wing-mounted engine contacted the runway and started to fire, and the thing went skidding to a stop on runway 10 left. Right?
Yeah, but
yes.
Then we're just talking about evacuating an aircraft and getting away from it, and you get two guys that are on film running towards it.
Towards it, yes.
Yeah. Well, it's on fire. Smart move.
So, talking about that, I think I have a little snippet of that somewhere, or maybe I don't. Yeah. Let's see. I think it was just on Facebook. Somebody took nope, that's not it. I'll do a little vamping here.
Well, it's funny because the guy who's filming it is like, what is he doing? Why is he running out there? Come back. What are you? And he
I wish
the
I could
guy
hear
just
that.
keeps going.
Yeah.
They're trying to be a hero.
So somebody happened to be on the north side of that runway 10 left. I guess he was very quick. Somebody must have said, like, what's going on here? And then the person immediately had the presence of mind to turn the video on his camera. I wish he had turned it sideways in landscape view, but you know how I feel about that. But he took some video of the MD-10 skidding to a stop. So it actually shows a little bit of it in motion before it came to a complete stop. Here we go. Let's see if we can hear this.
Don't go near that shit. Holy shit. That's crazy. That's crazy. Hey, you guys said call for help, bro. That's fucked up. I'm not going near that shit, bro.
I apologize for all the bad words. I'll take that out in the audio version. But anyway, it goes. You got to watch the video. See these guys. A couple of his friends are like actually walking toward this airplane that has just crash landed and is on fire. What are you doing? Like you can't walk out there.
What are you gonna go do?
That's what I was gonna ask. It's like, what do they really think they were gonna help with at that point?
Maybe go help evacuate people, or I don't know. It probably wasn't making any sense in their mind, or they weren't clear to the fact that this is not a passenger airplane. This is a cargo airplane, and the only humans on board are probably just the pilot crew. And who cares about them? Let them burn.
So Jeff, the picture in the show notes, the one underneath the video, is that a bit of debris flying through the frame above the aircraft?
That is the point at which, and it's in this video that we were just talking about. If you watch it, if you continue the video, there's a point at which the wing, the left wing that's on fire, the engine's on fire, and the wing's on fire. The fuel is causing a lot of pressure inside the wing. And it's the same thing that happened to that Emirates 777 landing at Dubai, I believe, where the right wing was on fire and the thing exploded. And in that case, a 45-foot section of the top wing surface blew into the air and came down. And what's interesting on this cell phone video is that you hear the explosion, you see this piece of the top of the wing somersaulting through the air as it's been blown from the wing in this explosion, and you actually hear it hitting the ground, and it makes this metal sound. It's just I've never heard that sound before.
I said neither have I.
Yeah, and I hope I never do. But
no one see that.
yeah, but it's like, but it made a sound that was different than what I was in my mind. The sound would have been something different with this big, huge hunk of metal hitting the ground, but it was almost like a tin something hitting the ground. Let's see if I can find that point of this.
Going towards the runway.
I think it's close to this point.
These guys are gonna get in trouble now. See that shit? They told him go away. I thought he was gonna blow.
You hear that? Yeah.
It sounds almost like glass breaking, you know,
Yeah.
like very high pitched.
Yeah, it's like a higher pitched sound, almost like a cymbal crashing or something.
Captain No Likey in the chat room says, like beer cans hitting the ground.
Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
you know, I guess we're made of the same thing. Just a lot more of it in that wing. Anyway, I do apologize for the language that was used in this cell phone video. I hope that didn't offend anybody. But anyway, quite an interesting incident. We were talking about the fact that it was the winds were 050. Let's see, Simon usually puts the METAR here, and this, here we go. 050, 15 gust 25, 15 gust 24. So it's a left gusting crosswind landing on 10. And, you know, I don't know if this had something to do with the crosswind and them trying to do some kind of a crosswind decrab procedure, and then ended up really coming down hard on that left wing, or what. Or maybe it was just something that happened earlier in the history of the airplane that had stressed or overstressed that main landing gear assembly, and that was just its number was up that day on that landing. I don't know.
Could have been a tire failure that, you know, led to one thing, led to another. There was a cascading effect. I mean, there's a lot of things that could have happened there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I guess that's why we have this NTSB. I guess they're going to be investigating the whole incident, and they pulled the flight data recorders and the cockpit voice recorders, and maybe they'll be able to get enough information to determine exactly what happened there. But you know, for Captain Nick, this is pretty much a normal landing.
Well, for anyone flying a Boeing, it would be. For the NTSB, how many teams do they have that tackle
They had enough
major
for-
emergencies? Because I can't imagine they got heaps of them just standing around waiting for people to crash. And then to have the number of incidents they've had to deal with in 1 week, they must be stretched pretty thin.
I thought the same thing. I'm thinking they're probably going, we don't have any more go teams. Would you please tell the airlines not to crash any more airliners because we can't investigate anymore. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question, by the way. How many of these investigators and go teams do they have out there?
That'd be an excellent question for Gregg Feith.
Mm-hmm.
Who's that?
He used to be
NTSB
in
guy.
the NTSB. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's on all the like air crash investigation shows as former NTSB person, expert.
Do you think he listens to our show? Hey, Greg, if you're listening.
Is he the
contact
one with
us.
the sports car with the registration crash or something? I don't know. I've seen.
Oh, I don't know about that.
He's a very handsome young man. That's all I can say. I did meet him in person.
You're thinking about me.
No.
No.
Definitely not you. I went to school in an aviation college, and he came when he was an active lead investigator. He came and spoke to us. It's quite interesting. It was quite an interesting learning experience. I can't answer the question how many go teams they have, but he certainly is one of the most knowledgeable people I've ever heard talk about aviation and the result of accidents. No,
He
not
is?
you. Not you. You're a legend.
Interesting in my own mind.
In your own mind.
Gonads are useful for their purpose, but they are no substitute for brains.
I don't know. I hear that a lot, actually. Yes, Nick, you were saying?
No, perhaps we've got someone who listens to the show who is part of that team. That'd be kind of cool, wouldn't it?
Could be.
That would be cool.
You know what? Honestly, I hope that nobody from the NTSB or FAA is actually listening to the show. Remember, I fly for Acme Airlines.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah. We all do.
And so do all my friends.
So I saw this little piece of information, which I thought was significant. We've talked about Maho Beach in St. Martin, Princess Juliana Airport, and the fact that it's like one of the best places in the world to do plane spotting, especially if you're kind of nuts and you want to get really, really close to these airplanes coming into land there. Right there on the beach. We've all seen the videos of these these nuts getting way too close for comfort.
Right up on the fence, holding on to it.
Yeah,
that little adrenaline rush.
For takeoff. Those are the ones that watching them tumble and then hit their heads on that stone
like
wall. Yeah. But one of the key attractions, the feature headlines was the KLM 747 that was doing regular service to Princess Juliana Airport. And just this past week, sadly, was the last scheduled service of the 747 KLM. And so they made a big deal of it, and kind of an era coming to an end. Now they say in the article that that doesn't necessarily mean that you'll never ever see another 747 landing there. It's just that their scheduled service using the 747-400 has ended. So they've replaced it with an Airbus.
They did.
Something more modern. Yeah. So why is the 747 not going there anymore?
I don't know. Let me see if I can see it here in the article. It says why.
Is it because it's old? Decrepit?
That might...
So they don't want it anymore?
You may have noticed I was typing on my phone.
I noticed.
I'm just actually one of my classmates from college is actually a senior safety investigator at the NTSB. I'm going to ask her that question, see if I can't get an answer. She was active 6 minutes ago.
Oh.
So I just sent the question. Maybe we might have an answer.
Yeah, maybe on the show live we'll get the answer to the question. That's cool. I know there's a good reason to have Tony back on the show.
But in answer to Nick's question, I don't see an exact reason. It just says they're going to start using the A330 instead.
Okay.
I think
they do say that it's going to be getting slightly less cool. The world's coolest landing will be slightly less cool. So
yeah,
whatever
slightly
the author of this article is implying about Airbus versus Boeing.
Air France will still be flying the old decrepit A340 on flight AF 498 to the airport with a scheduled arrival time of 2 p.m.
So that beautiful A340 with the only 4-engine airplane going there, is that right?
Yeah, a scheduled service.
Scheduled.
Excellent.
And then they said there are also chartered flights operating in the 747 flying to and from.
They don't count, Jeff.
The French couldn't win the World War, but they're certainly going to try to take over the world with their Airbus product. Tin cans.
Not just the French, the Germans as well, and the English.
Oh, boy. We love, you know what? We love all the airplanes and all the people of the world.
Some more than others.
Some more than others. Steph, you're not helping at all.
I could really say so many things about that Airbus product, but I'm just going to mind my P's and Q's.
Thank you.
That's usually what I do too.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on, as they say. So at London's Heathrow, this has been simmering for quite some time. The attempt to approve and build a third runway. I guess a third runway. Is that right, Captain Nick? There are two now, and you would have three. And apparently easyJet is very, very happy with the government's decision to go ahead and construct this new runway. Although I would say that they don't have a lot of company. I guess there are other airlines that are not really happy at all about it because they're concerned that the runway construction will be funded by increased fees. And so I thought we'd ask Captain Nick about this because this is kind of right in your neighborhood.
Well, to be fair, the only decision that's been made, Captain Jeff, is that the government have agreed that it can go ahead, but it's still got to. There are bound to be legal challenges. There are going to be changes of mind. They really are making such a mess of this decision. That should have been made decades ago, and it shouldn't just be Heathrow. It should be Heathrow and Gatwick. They should both be getting additional runways. Somehow managed to turn it into a competition between the two airports, and Heathrow has apparently finally come out on top. But whether it gets built, in the short term, it won't, and it's going to be hugely expensive. They've got to go over a major motorway system, so the work probably won't even begin until 2020. So I'm going to be retired before they even start breaking ground.
So you don't really even care about this?
Yeah, to give two hoots.
Okay. Well, yeah, as you said, I think this is something that's going to take some time before they iron out all the regulatory issues and financial issues, etc. But thought it was worth mentioning because I know we have a lot of
definitely
a lot of listeners.
They're one step closer.
Yeah, one step closer. Okay. I know that Steph has got to leave pretty soon, so let's go ahead and move right on into our feedback section.
Captain, incoming message.
And we're going to start off with something that Dr.
Time
Steph
sensitive?
has, something to do with as well. So this is from our good friend, APG community superstar, dispatcher Mike.
Hello, Captain Jeff, APG crew, and the rest of the APG community. This is Dispatcher Mike, and I'd like to invite everyone into a meetup that's going to happen on November 19th down in the Southeast. And the whole premise of the meetup is we're going to start it at an airport, and we're going to start it at the Toccoa Stevens County Airport, which is Kilo Tango Oscar Charlie. And that is a airport that is in the extreme northeast part of Georgia, right on the border with South Carolina. This airport was chosen because it's almost pretty equal distant between Dr. Steph and Dr. Steph's home airport, my home airport. So that's why we chose it. We'd like to invite the community to come join us, either to fly into Toccoa and meet up with us that way. It'd be a good way to show off each other's airplanes, see different parts of general aviation and everything that everyone flies and the different realms of general aviation. But also, if you don't have a set of wings and you can't hitch a ride with someone that has a set of wings that's coming, feel free to drive out to Toccoa. It's about 2 to 2.5 hours, depending where you live at in the Atlanta metro area. Pretty close to Charlotte as well. And also, it's a pretty good central region for the majority of the larger cities in the immediate southeast area. So come out and join us. We're going to meet somewhere around noon. If you're going to come and join us, please send me an email. It's contact@flyingandlife.com. That's contact@flyingandlife.com. Send me an email. Let me know if you're going to be flying or if you're going to be driving and how many people. And once I see how many people we're going to have, I'll try to figure out what we're going to do. The FBO, from my understanding, talking to fellow coworkers that have flown up there, very nice FBO, very modern. They have a room there where we can meet if we have a large number of people and order food in. And if it's a smaller number of people, there's a paratrooper museum nearby where this airfield did a lot of paratrooper training for the paratroopers that actually went on and did the raid over in D-Day. So that museum's close by. It's someplace that we could go to. Also, it's a decent sized town. There's got to be a restaurant around there as well. A little bit about the airport. It is at about 1,000-foot aviation. It is still south of the Smoky Mountains and the mountains, so there's not really too much of a mountainous terrain nearby, immediate to the traffic area of the airport. So it's a pretty decent, normal airport for that aspect. It does have 2 crossing runways. 321, which is 5,008 feet long, and 927, which is 2,951 feet long. So obviously 321 is the preferred runway because everyone likes a longer runway. So if you could join us, please shoot me out an email. We'll get out some more information as it gets closer via Slack, and you can also follow me on Twitter. at Flying in Life. Feel free to follow me, send me a message. I'd really like to help people out, getting as many people as we can. Also, if you're going to be flying, if you could send me your email address, I'm going to try to put together some sort of a briefing pack, and I'm going to hopefully fly up to Toccoa in the next couple of days to take some pictures and some videos. And I'd like to get that to just anytime I like flying into an airport, I like to try to get as much information as possible. And it's kind of my job as a dispatcher to make sure pilots have most good information as possible. So let's wrap it up. I look forward to seeing everybody on November 19th in the afternoon up there in Toccoa. Thanks.
Thank you, Dispatcher Mike. That sounds like a fun time. So what can you add to this, Dr. Steph?
Not a whole lot, except that I don't think we've decided on a time yet. And my thanks to Mike Karrells, Dispatcher Mike, for spearheading this. You know, I think he got back into getting current with his flying not too long ago after taking some time off. And right away he got in touch with me and said, hey, you know, we're really not that far away from each other. It'd be fun to have a meetup. Let's pick a place. And he really did most of the work because he'd already been looking at a few places they thought would be convenient. So it sounds like a really neat little airport. I have not been there yet. I'm not sure which plane I'm going to take there yet. If the Cirrus is back and I can get checked out and comfortable in it in time, I might take that one. Or I may just be taking a rented 172.
You better hurry. It's coming up soon.
No, I know. But don't worry, I have an airplane I can fly there if it's not going to be that one.
Okay. I'm looking forward to going to it. Whether Mike picks me up in his airplane or if I drive, I'm planning on attending.
Awesome. And you know, he mentioned it's about 2.5 hours, I think, from the Atlanta area, give or take, depending on what side of town you're on. From Charlotte, it's a little bit closer to 3 with traffic. It's not too far at all from some places in upstate South Carolina, so Greenville, Spartanburg area. I'm not sure exactly how long, but it's not far at all. So if people can make it out, that's awesome. We do realize it's kind of it's not in a big metro. It's short notice and it's not a big metropolitan area, but we figured since we were doing it, the more people, the merrier. If you're able to come out and join us.
Hey, it doesn't matter where you are. It's just who's there, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a shame I'm not going to be doing an Atlanta trip. I'd love to have come along, but I'll have just got back from New York that day. So great time.
And part of it was trying to find
somebody else do the flight, Nick, and you can just fly down to Atlanta.
Exactly.
What a great idea! And you know of any captains who might want to fly an airplane home?
Probably a lot of people listening to the show would volunteer. I'm not sure that Acme Red would enjoy that, but so by the way, Mike has a great podcast, Flying and Life, and that's where you can contact him. Contact at flyingandlife.com to let him know whether you intend to attend the flying meetup up at Toccoa, Georgia. So wanted to get that in before Steph left. And did you get a response from your
I sure did.
contact?
Yep, I sure did. And apparently they have 5 major ICs at headquarters. So I don't know what ICs, but I imagine that's a term they use for Go Team. So they have 5 of them. Yeah, sure. So they had staffing for it.
Okay. Well, that's great.
Interesting.
Glad that we were able to answer that question while we were actually recording the show.
I'm glad it was useful for something for a change.
Yeah. Oh, come on. Just being here, you're useful. Steph,
that's
that'd be
what we
okay. I
say
know
in
you have
our-
to go pretty soon, but can we, there's at least 1 or 2 more here in the
sure.
list that
I
I'd
just
love
have
for
a-
you to be able to chip
On
in
Wednesday evenings recently, I've had a standing engagement at 6:30. I just want to grab some food before it, but I've got a few more minutes, so we're good. We're good.
Okay. So the other one, dispatch. This is a quick one. Another dispatcher, Dispatch Gregg, sent in a link to a Navy SEALs skydiving thing. I guess they had GoPro cameras mounted on their helmets and such, and they were jumped out of it. Looked like a C-130, and then landed in a football stadium. I'm not sure exactly where that was. Did you have a chance to look at that stuff?
Yeah, I watched the video. It was really neat video and cool to see all the stuff that they do. So those are called demo jumps, demonstration jumps. Obviously, a lot of the armed forces parachuting teams have those demo teams put together who do these types of things into various. Actually, you know what? It was in Tennessee because they were wearing volunteer orange.
Oh yeah, you know what? I think it was.
I think it was. Yeah.
Because there was a river. I was trying to figure out. You think that was Knoxville? You know, it could have been. They do have a river that goes right through.
I don't know what Knoxville looks like. I've never been.
University of Tennessee.
But yeah, some of the stuff they do is really amazing. They do all kinds of what they call canopy relative work. So they've got two guys, or they form a bunch of them together under their canopy before they break off and do other things. One of the guys has a large American flag that he's trailing behind him. And then I'm not entirely sure because you can't see the outside perspective, what they're doing at the very end as they're coming down into the stadium. But I suspect that would be fun to watch from an outside perspective too. So you have to watch the video and see
how quickly they were actually coming
descending
down, even with those.
Well, that's why I'd like to see kind of more from an outside perspective because they were still right next to each other. So I'm not entirely sure how they were managing that, but
it looked like at some point they were almost like sideways.
They were at one point. They did a rotation that way, you know.
Mm-hmm. Looked like a lot of fun.
Yes, absolutely, and very.
Thank you.
You know, the first time I saw this, I read it very quickly, and I saw seals diving into a football stadium, and I went, "What are they going to fill it with water or something? What's going on?"
Oh, Nick!
That's funny.
Oh, Nick!
Well, thank you, Greg, for sending
I was
that in.
disappointed when I saw they had parachutes, but then I thought seals with parachutes, that's even better.
These are some talented seals.
So you can teach seals any kind of trick, right?
That's right. And then finally, Steph, before you go, this last one from Joseph, and this is a follow-up on a previous piece of feedback from him. He says, I want to write to you with an update on my previous feedback, which you all so kindly addressed in 243 regarding air motion sickness. Oh, that was last episode. Wow. How timely. As Dr. Steph correctly assumed at the time of writing my original feedback, I had not yet flown a discovery flight. However, I have in fact managed to take the plunge and take my first flight of a Jabiru at my local Aero Club. I managed to get through the flight without a hiccup as the weather was pristine. On episode 204, a gentleman named Pat wrote in about a career change at the age of 32. He spoke of an in-house cadetship at a regional airline that I'm currently looking at doing, similar expenditure, time frame of training in the same aircraft, and was wondering if you would, I guess I'm not supposed to be reading that right now, but I was able to get Joseph in touch with Pat from episode 204, so they're talking about this cadetship. Let's see, skipping along here. Anyway, he says, thanks for the time and effort you all do to make this community so wonderful. I look forward to emailing you and listening to upcoming episodes. Yeah, the learning and the laughs. And he said, P.S. The 777 is beautiful. Sorry, Captain Nick. I'm not sure what that had to do with anything, but I guess he just wanted to throw in a little pimp.
An afterthought, you know.
Has this guy passed his medical eyesight test, or you know?
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember. I think he was the one who was having, or was concerned about having motion sickness, air sickness, and we were wondering if he'd actually been out to try his hand at and seeing how that did for him. And it sounds like, you know, like we kind of suspected that for a lot of people, it's a lot better in terms of motion sickness, air sickness. If you're the one in control, if you're at the front of whatever the vehicle is, the aircraft, you have better view out the front window, and you're actually manipulating the controls. So glad to hear that, Joseph. Hope the training goes well. Definitely keep us posted and let us know how it goes.
Hey, Joseph. This is Tony, a.k.a. as my real name is Dana. I just want to let you know that when I first started flying, I was very hesitant because I do actually suffer from a bit of motion sickness, and I thought that it would affect me because, like, when I ride in a car in the back seat of a car, I tend to get a little motion sickness. If I'm on a boat, I get it as well. So I kind of figured that would affect my ability to become an airline pilot, and I actually let it affect me for a lot of years. and scared me away from pursuing it. And I used it as an excuse. And it's about your age when I finally said, okay, well, let's go ahead and really try this thing. And I really, worked through my through all my ratings and got it done. And here I am next to Captain Jeff talking about how awesome this career is and how much we love to do what we do. And I'm a first-hand testament that fear of the motion sickness, unless you really have it bad, I don't ever have to take anything. And honestly, once you get into a stable aircraft, like a commercial aircraft, the motion is almost never an issue anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Become very, very accustomed to it.
I guess it has like a physical component and a mental component. And I think for most people, it's probably the mental.
Yeah, you psych yourself out. I mean, that's what you do. And if you're afraid of it, then go ahead and face your fears. I mean, I get motion sickness on boats, but guess what I do? I'm a scuba diver instructor. So, it's if you love it, just go ahead and go for it. That's the best advice I can give you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right.
Well, Steph, if you want to go.
Yeah, I probably have to go, unfortunately. I'm sorry. It's kind of short for me this week, and my schedule, again, is a little crazy this week.
I am just thrilled that you were able to actually find some time to join us. I really didn't expect you would be able to. So it's
worked out,
icing on the cake.
Worked out perfect. And actually, this is not a bad location to sit and do a podcast from, because with the exception of one guy who was trying to get into the office mistakenly, he was looking for another office. No one comes to this office. It's great. There's like a big screen TV in here and a refrigerator and all kinds of.
This might be Steph's new studio, I'm thinking.
It might be, except I have to use my tiny computer and I can't see anything on the screen, and I've been ignoring the chat room. And I'm sorry, you guys. I love you all there, but I'll just say, yep. Good seeing you guys, and I'll be back next week hopefully. And go Cubs.
Yeah, go Cubs.
Yeah. Good luck.
Hey, Steph, it's very nice to meet you.
Yes, nice to meet you too, Dana/Tony. Hopefully we'll see you back at some point too.
Hopefully as well.
Yes. Happy trails to you until we meet again.
Well,
see,
that's
good extra bonus material for you right there.
Exactly.
I can't sing. That's why I have a day job.
See you, Steph.
Cheers,
Bye-bye.
guys. Have a good night.
Good night, Steph.
Bye, Nick.
By the way, a tech note, we plan on doing part 2. Did I say that right? I'm not a French speaker, but part 2 tomorrow.
That's the reason why you don't fly the Airbus. You can't speak French.
Yet another reason. But we're going to have, hopefully, fingers crossed, Miami. What's his name? Rick. Miami Rick is going to be with us tomorrow, hopefully. From Anchorage. So that'll be the second part of episode 244. So if you're listening to us right now live, make sure you're with us tomorrow afternoon, because it'll be a lot of fun. Okay. Let's see. Let's get back over here to the mailbag and start up here with the top. Captain Nick, would you like to read this one from PreBuy guy?
Sorry, you want me to read it?
Yeah, if you'd like.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is from Don Sebastian, who we had on the show a while back, PreBuy, and he writes ditching. Considering most major airports are near large bodies of water, please fast forward the video he's attached, which is the NTSB conclusions being read out. And he says to minute 120, and please comment. So I actually listened to quite a bit, and I couldn't see anything specific that he was going on about, but I'm not too sure. Did you catch what he was referring to, Jeff, at minute 120?
You know what? I don't think I actually... Why don't we look at this together? So
it was just seemed to be an introduction, so I wasn't absolutely certain what was going on.
You said it was about 120. Let me go over here to my Firefox browser and open a new tab. Put in this address. It's the YouTube link.
I think there's a fundamental disconnect at the content.
120.
Your work.
This was the end. This is from the U.S. Airways 1549 NTSB Sunshine meeting, and 120. Let me see if I can cue that up. And right about here.
Sigh of relief. When the public heard more about the quick thinking and professionalism of Captain Sullenberger and his crew, the incident soon became known as the Miracle on the Hudson. And it truly was a miracle. The National Transportation Safety Board's investigation revealed that the conditions that led to the ultimate success of the ditching were no less improbable than the conditions that caused the crash in the first place.
I'm not really sure what he's referring to there.
Well, I mean, she does go on to say that everything had to be perfectly right for this event to have come out so well. She said, you know, it had to be good day visual. They had to have somewhere decent to land. They had to be been on an aircraft that was properly equipped to land on water. So she listed about 4 or 5 things that needed to click together for this to have been the success it was. And he just says, major airports are near large bodies of water. Yeah, that's true. Nick, please comment. So I'm not quite sure exactly. Of course, being international aircraft, we are fully equipped for a possible ditching. I understand that aren't necessarily, since they're going to spend the great majority of their time over land, and the chance of landing in water are much less likely for them. So they wouldn't be. This aircraft, however, was. It goes on to ask you a little bit about a case of too much automation. Not too sure about that bit.
You know, I think he must be referring to a different point. Maybe that time mark 120 was an error. Hey, Don, if you're listening, help us with that, because maybe we're not looking at the right part of the video. But continue, Captain Nick, with the sync rate.
Yeah, sure. Don mentions that the sink rate of the aircraft into the Hudson was about feet per second.
You're kind of breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, the sink rate was 12 feet a second. The Airbus certified for 3 feet per second. Now, I'm not actually certain if he's talking about the aircraft sinks into the water or the rate at which you land the airplane. So I'm assuming 12 feet per second would be about the rate at which you're supposed to land it. And it was only certified to land at about a quarter of that rate of descent. So I'm not certain what point he's getting to there. Don, perhaps you come back to us on that. Starting the APU to get the computer law to work. Well, to be fair, they will run on battery only, and the aircraft is quite flyable on battery only. The APU wasn't. Obviously, it's great because it gets a lot more working, but you do still get sufficient to ditch an airplane quite successfully on battery power only. And he said, starting the APU to get the computer laws to work, maybe this caused an additional sink rate at I can't see sink rate, and if he's referring to it going down in the water, I can't see that happening, because whether you've got the APU running or not, it's the APU and its housing, intake and exhaust, all aft of the pressure bulkhead. So the APU running won't cause any more water to come into the fuselage. So that's not going to happen. Tearing of the aft fuselage open. Yes, that's always a danger. And in fact, I'm amazed this aircraft didn't completely break up, since so many ditchings in the past have had major fuselage breaches. And no aircraft is really designed to be able to cope with that, even landing on flat water like they did. The speed at which the aircraft impacts and the inherent strength of an aluminium really aren't compatible. Help was nearby. So I think what he's doing here is listing the things that they managed to achieve that stopped this from being a disaster.
Right.
I believe, as stated when I was your guest on AP 233, that the water ditching checklist should be moved up to 1 page. And to remind pilots to flip the ditching switch on this Airbus. Well, I've had a look at my ditching drill for the Airbus, and I've got an old one as well as the current one. So my old one probably goes back several years. Whether it predates that, I don't know. But then, of course, I fly the 330, 340. But the ditching drill is only actually just over 1 page. It's 1 page and then about 2 inches into the second page. And the ditching push button is on the front page, the first page of that drill. So he said that the first officer from that flight mentioned the switch was on page 3. Now, of course, airlines are allowed to modify their QRHs and do them slightly differently to standard Airbus. So I don't know if the standard Airbus drill has it on page 3. Certainly Acme Red don't, and I'm pretty sure we're very close to standard Airbus. So either it's moved, but having said that, I'm still looking at an old paper checklist I've got from, and that still has it on page 1. So I'm not too sure if that's entirely right.
I think that was probably a tailored checklist, knowing US Air. They would probably have had their own tailored checklist, not the
the current
the standard,
checklist has that push button in the sort of second batch of actions to be done at 2,000 feet. So it comes quite early. The old one used to have it done somewhere between 1,000 feet and 200 feet before the ditching. So still a reasonable length of time before you hit the water. And to be fair, all that does is close all the hatches, all the intakes, ram air intakes, everything that you can close that's below the waterline to stop water leaking in. But as we previously mentioned, you're much more likely to get water coming in through a tear in the fuselage, which would be extremely common on a water ditching, particularly if you're ditching on the ocean rather than on a flat, calm river. Water ditching only allows to complete page 1. Well, no drill is going to be completely usable in every situation. And I think the answer is if you've got a drill that you could start in theory at 20,000 feet, there are going to be a lot more actions. And I think you have to use an element of airmanship and move through those actions that it's too late to complete and just go to the urgent ones that you're going to do in the last couple of thousand feet or even the last 1,000 feet. But that's if you have time to get the damn thing out. I think they were still trying to get engines going. So on a completely different checklist until quite late. Only 2 passengers don life vests before ditching. So I'm not quite sure what his point there is. Fast forward to 2 hours. Time only allows only 2 passengers don life vests. I think that's probably comes down to the lack of notice. If you don't get the cabin crew sufficient notice to get all their PAs and get everyone checked that they put their life vests on, then you're likely to get a number of passengers who won't have realized that it's needed, particularly if they're not flying over the ocean. They weren't aware probably that they were going to do a river ditching. So that's quite likely. And he said, I believe the chance of hitting birds and takeoff is the greatest threat to piloting at these airports. Well, I think we'll agree with that. I'm sure we've all had close calls, if not actual bird strikes. And it is a concern when you only have 2 engines. Even more, we've only got 1 engine, I might point out. But he wants to know if your Mad Dog is EOW equipped. So thanks very much for that, Don. We'll try and answer as many of those questions as we can, but I think we need a second go at this one with some of your other points. So, Jeff, is your Mad Dog EOW equipped?
Some of them are.
Yeah, some of them are. We have the ability to carry a life vest. I mean, not life vests, but lifeboats, life rafts, inflatable life rafts, and about I think it's 15 to 20 of them.
Yeah, only a handful of our fleet.
Only a handful, but the real issue with that is that we don't go over water a whole lot, so it's a lot of extra weight to carry around if we don't need to. Which, of course,
So we're normally limited to, with most of the fleet, without the life rafts and the center ceiling panels in the back, limited to a maximum of 160 nautical miles filed route over the water. So that's why we, from New York to South Florida, we routinely fly, within 160 miles of the shoreline.
Sure, and we actually go over the out of the Gulf of Mexico too.
Yeah, that's true. We do that as well.
go
But
down
we
to
don't do a
Cancun,
lot of
Cozumel.
Yeah, we don't do the over the pond or Pacific Ocean kind of flying with the Mad Dog. That would be insane.
Absolutely.
But thanks, Don. Again, go ahead.
And I would just say, to answer Don, I mean, you say 12 feet per second, which works out to be 720 feet per minute. I mean, it's it's pretty standard to be in between 500-600 feet on touchdown, preferably a little bit less than that
for you.
For you,
For me, it's
like you today,
100 feet per minute or less.
Yeah, but it's a good range. To what Captain Nick said, a lot of aircraft have come apart when they hit the water, but I don't know that a whole lot of them have ever landed in a controlled situation where they were going in with almost in a standard landing configuration.
Yeah.
That FedEx crash that we just saw the video on, that aircraft was putting a lot of pressure on different parts of the airplane, and it held together pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
So unless you hit really hard or an odd angle, which would you can't say, Captain Nick, the aircraft didn't come apart, which is kind of surprising. But the bigger thing for me was the engines actually didn't come off the wings, and the wings didn't come off the fuselage, and then the fuselage was compromised that way. That's the way I would have expected that the U.S. aircraft would have come apart more or less. But I don't think any of us would have done anything different in that case. And landing the aircraft on the water, just bringing it in stabilized and as slow as you possibly can. And they didn't have a whole lot of time. No. Remember, they hit them, I think, was it 5,000 feet?
3,000, just shy of 3.
Yeah, so 3,000 feet. So, the amount of time that they had to run the procedures, run the checklist, figure out where to land. And by the time you're landing was within 90 seconds, 2 minutes, something like that. It wasn't too long.
Yeah, 208 seconds or something like that.
Yeah, not very long.
Yeah.
So to get that message to the flight attendants and try to do the checklist and get the passengers to get all their life preservers on, it's that happens so fast. Yeah. Probably not realistic.
I agree. Well, thank you, Don, for your question. I'm sure that listening to us discuss it, you probably want to now clarify some of what you were asking us, because we weren't exactly sure on all of it. So, anywho, I was looking at the chat room. They were talking about a tweet that I made yesterday, flying with Dana. He showed me this really cool patch that a captain that he flies with on occasion, and in fact, the captain that he flies with on occasion, I used to fly with all the time as my co-pilot. That's how old I am. He is now a captain on the dog. And he came up with this really cool patch. It has a kind of the like a top view of or bottom view, whatever, silhouette of a Mad Dog, and it says something like over 10,000 hours logged on the Mad Dog. What does it say? He's trying to pull it up, I think, on his phone. But if you follow us on Twitter, okay, if you're watching on the video, Dana's holding up the patch. Yeah, get a little bit closer there, if you can. Here, help you out. Oh, you the microphone. Okay. Thinking you really need help to stand up.
No, you really don't.
Okay, down a little bit. There you go. So let's see. 10,000 hours. Acme Mad Dog driver. I was actually for another airline, but so I'm going to have him make up one for me because I fly for anyway. So I tweeted that out, and I wanted to make sure that everybody understood that I do actually have a little bit more than 10,000 hours. That was not something presented to me by the company. That was just something that Gary on his own had the patch made. And I thought that was pretty cool. And he's actually going to send one to me, which is very, very cool. But I just wanted to clarify that because I didn't want people to think that that was my total number of flying hours. I actually have close to, actually probably about double that. I pulled up some of my time at Acme. I've only flown the 88, the 727, and the L1011. My total at Acme Airlines is 18,368. When I was hired by Acme, I think I had 2,500 hours of Air Force time. Kind of a very small fraction of what I've logged at Acme. So just a really rough calculation, I have a little over 20,000 hours. So that's a lot of time. I think we did the calculation for how much 10,285 hours was or equated to on the Mad Dog if we were doing a continuous flight, and it would be like 428.5 days or something. That's a long time, more than a year of solid flying on the Mad Dog, and all of it pilot and command time because I never flew it as a co-pilot. So
excellent, Jeff. Are you going to stitch that onto your Acme flight suit?
Yes, of course. I wish we had flight suits. Yeah, I don't know what the heck I'm going to do with it.
I'm going to stitch it on my motorcycle vest.
Yeah, there you go. I could stitch it on
excellent
my bag, I guess.
Yeah,
yeah,
you sure could.
Yeah.
Oh, you could stitch it onto a baseball hat. That'll look good.
Yeah, that's even better. I have to have a big. It's a big sticker, so I have to have a really big hat. Well,
that's right. You got a big head.
Yeah, thanks. I knew that was coming. I was just waiting for it.
He looked at me as if I was going to say it, but I was waiting for Nick to come through for me.
All right. You wiser hammers. What's that term?
Wisecrackers?
Yeah, that's
nice
another
guy.
one. Nice guy? No, that was not the term I was looking for.
As they would say in Scotland, wise arse.
Yes.
Oh, they might do.
Yeah. Captain Nick, how many hours? Do you have any idea how many hours you have?
I haven't a clue. Sorry, I don't add them up anymore.
Oh, you know what? That's another thing I was going to address. Somebody had asked, maybe it's somebody that I think somebody sent some feedback about this. Might as well just go ahead and answer it right now since we're talking about hours and such. Or should I maybe go ahead and give credit to the person asking it? Let me go here in feedback. I think it was pretty recent. So let me scroll down here to the most recent pieces of feedback and see if oh, here it is. Sent in by Private Pilot Rich. He said, Captain Jeff and the entire APG crew, I just saw that Captain Jeff has more than 10,000 hours in the Mad Dog. Congrats. He said, cue applause here. Okay, so I guess I should play the applause. There we go. Self-congratulatory applause here for me. As a private pilot, I know one of the more important things we do is to track our hours. Of course, that's all done manually. I've been listening to APG since before episode 100. Ooh, I guess you know what he might have.
Doctor, give me the news. I got a bad case of
APG syndrome.
no pills gonna cure my ill. I got a
Bad case of APG syndrome. I thought I told that thing to fade away. There we go. So anyway, yeah, it looks like Private Pilot Rich might have the APG syndrome. Anyway, he said, I have not heard you address how you record or track your hours. I assume the major carriers must track flight hours for their flight crews automatically. How's this done? When does the clock start? Is it when the cabin door closes or when you release brakes to back out of the gate? We're chuckling and we'll tell you why in a second. And stops when you set the brakes after landing. Is there some program that tracks this, or do you have to manually start some sort of timer? And for Captain Jeff, are your flight hours the basis of how you get paid? Yes. Is that based on some other calculation? Both. I believe I've heard that both Captain Nick and Miami Rick are salaried, so their flight time is not the basis for their pay. If not, I'd be interested to know the basis for their pay as well. I try to listen to each episode. I enjoy them all, and they are the best when all four of you are there. A special shout out to Captain Nick. Your plane tales are really something special. And we can't agree more, Private Pilot Rich. They actually really are probably the best part of the show. So thank you for the kind words, and I'll just quickly tackle the part of the question that applies to me and Acme Airlines. Well, actually both. I do not track manually my flight hours, and from the day that I was hired by Acme back in 1988, I didn't track them manually. Now I do know you probably fly with guys that actually keep a logbook. Do you keep a logbook?
I don't want to keep a logbook, but I've actually flown with several guys that pull out that little little pocket
mini
logbook that you
logbooks.
keep in your shirt pocket, and they sit there and write every single flight down manually. And the big impetus on that isn't necessarily to track the hours, because I've asked, why are you logging the time? It's not like you're going to move to another airline. Well, hopefully not. And the actual answer for most of them that I've asked has always been, well, so I can go back and look if I get the phone call from the chief pilot's office wanting to know if anything particular happened, because then they can log it in their logbook.
I see. Or of like a little journal,
personal journal as to
Okay.
if anything unusual has happened.
Okay. Yeah, I have not kept track because I know that Acme has an automated system that does. In fact, that was what I was just reading when I was looking at all my hours on the 88 and the L1011 and the Mad Dog. I mean, what? 88, L1011, and 727. Because it's a system. It's the same system that they use. The reason why there is an automated system to keep track of all these things is because, as you alluded to in your feedback, that is the way at Acme Airlines that we get paid. Everything is based upon our block hours, and also to a certain extent on our contract, our union contract with, if you're away from home for a certain amount of time, then a certain calculation goes into effect. If you are flying a 4-day trip and you only fly 3 flights on your 4-day trip, well, some other credit goes into effect so that you are getting a reasonable amount of compensation for being away from home for 4 days. And this kind of allows the airline to make sure that they're getting efficient use of their air crews, and not just like sending you out somewhere on a very short flight and then 3 days later you fly another flight and they're only going to pay you for those little short flights. It's a protection for the pilots to get paid a reasonable amount of compensation.
And something you can relate to, Private Pilot Rich. What we don't have in the cockpit is like in your Cessna, a Hobbs or a tachometer. So we don't sit there and we do a logbook for the aircraft, but we don't log the actual time, because a lot of flight schools require you to write the in and out time so they can track it and bill you. But we at the airline, all we do is write down the date, the flight number, and where it was from and to. That's it. So we don't actually track that. The maintenance department actually has a way of tracking how many hours and maintenance schedules, and that's why you'll write down the tachometer or Hobbs in the book so that your flight school can track those hours and you can track them to put them in your logbook. And as a non-military pilot, I always had to do the same thing you did, and I did it electronically. There's a couple of really good programs out there that you can go ahead and enter the time via this apps now on the phones. So you don't need a paper logbook as much as the technology has advanced so far that you can go ahead and use a manual logbook. So I hope that brings it more from the airline perspective down to the private pilot perspective, so you can understand what we're looking at versus what you're looking at in your airplane.
Now, when I started back in the late 80s, the airplane that I was flying did not keep track of this stuff. We didn't have this automation to keep track of our out, off, on, and in. Those are the 4 critical times for us. The out time is when something triggers the pushback time from the gate. It used to be when we turned the beacon on.
Right.
That's when the system would automatically track, or if you were not automatically tracked, you would make note of when the beacon came on. And then that's the out time. The off time is actually when you're off the ground, you're taking off. Again, our airplanes automatically sense due to strut extension when you're lifting off, that triggers an event, which is the off time. The on time, of course, is the opposite of the off time. So when whatever that trigger is, usually it's a strut extension strut compression thing. Thank you. That triggers that event, and then arriving at the gate, it could be a whole bunch of things. Nowadays, we're chuckling because that has changed in the last several years at Acme, where it used to be just the beacon, and now it could be a whole bunch of different things. The parking brake released and set. It could be the doors closed, and actually, it's a combination of all this.
It actually has to have. You have to have all the doors closed and parking brake released.
Yeah, including the cargo doors.
Including the cargo doors.
That's a metric that they kind of look at. In fact, now it's so complex that they know exactly which sensor is, which door is closing exactly at what time, so that if they see a trend that the cargo door is being closed too late, then they're going to focus on that area of the operation. Or if it's the forward boarding door of the aircraft, then they're going to focus on that part of the operation to try to enhance those on-time figures.
Now, what I'd like to hear is from Nick about how they do the the international, because we're hourly, whereas Nick is salary. So that's kind of.
So how does that work? How does your pay work out, Nick?
It just arrives in my bank account at the end of each month, and
they don't. We know what we do. We go to the airport on payday, and then we stand in line, and then the chief pilot hands out cash.
An envelope, and you have to sign for it. Yeah, I thought you would. For us, we're salaried, and our contract, the company can fly us up to 750 hours a year, but we get paid regardless of whether we meet that total or not. So it's up to the company to arrange our schedule so that we achieve our most productive. We get a little bit of time in lieu if we go on leave. So being on leave doesn't detract. You can't. You can still hit your leave or sick leave even. Simulators, they count a little bit towards it. So everything counts a little bit towards that target. Personally, I've very rarely made it. So I've just done a quick calculation. Assuming I did 700 hours for the first 20 years, and I've been part-time for a couple of years now, so let's assume that was 600 hours for the last couple of years. That puts me around 20,000 with my Air Force flying. So that's where I'm currently standing. But to schedule us and get us to fly, and if we don't fly and we don't make that target, then that's not our fault. We get paid anyway.
Excellent. Yeah, so it's kind of fascinating for Dana and I to hear airlines like yours and the way you get paid, because it's so different than the way we get paid. Everything is based on the block hours and the credit and everything else.
Well, we still log those.
These guys are captains. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I still log my my hours, and for us, like you guys, it's block time. So as soon as we start pushing back, that's when the clock starts, and when we park up, that's when it closes, shuts off. So I log my flight time, which is obviously different. In the Air Force, we only log flight time. We didn't include taxi time. So that's just how we log it. And I was going to say, I use a little electronic one. Got one on my phone there. Safe Log, and it's quite a good one. It's not expensive. There's Log Pro 10 out there, which is a pretty expensive one. This one has a database online, so you log your flights, and every now and again you hit sync, and it syncs up with the online database and keeps a whole total track in a separate copy of your hours, so you don't necessarily have to keep them all on the same device. You can put some on your iPad and some on your phone, and it all just goes and then totals up, and then you can print it off on your computer if you want a paper copy, which is useful if you're looking for a new job. But I don't think I'm going to bother, because retiring.
My attitude was, when I got hired by Acme, a major legacy carrier in the U.S., I thought, this is it. I don't intend, of course, none of us really do intend to go and fly for another airline, but things happen in our industry. But my airline had such a reputation for, once you made it at Acme, that you weren't going anywhere else unless you were just crazy. Although there was a period of time where we were experiencing some pretty serious financial problems, and the airline actually declared bankruptcy. And there was a period of time where we're going, okay, maybe we should really start thinking about what we're going to do next. And we figured, or at least I did, I figured that if my airline goes down the tubes, it's very likely that all the other airlines are going to be suffering too and laying off people. So I'm probably going to be doing something other than flying airplanes. So, that was my the way I was looking at things as far as tracking time and stuff. So, and I do, right now, right before the show or during the show, I pulled up my block hours flown on the Acme scheduling database and found, my current as of just, a couple hours ago when we flew into Orlando. It has my up-to-date times. And now it's not all broken down into, IMC and night and all that kind of stuff. But I figure that if I lose my job here, try to get hired, or if I retire and want to fly for another airline, let's say a carrier that allows me to fly until I'm 70 or whatever, I figure that they're probably going to look at the documentation from the company I'm flying for right now and understand that that's real and that's, credible. So. And I'm lazy. That's basically the bottom line. I just don't.
It's interesting what Tony said about making a note about incidents that occur on flights. I know some of my guys who've been friends for other airlines, and these are sort of airlines that are kind of a bit, think of a polite word, that have very strict disciplinary procedures, let's put it that way, who do this. So that they know exactly if the company comes back to them in 6 months' time and say, "Oh, this flight where you diverted, we think you did it unnecessarily." They've made a note of the reasons and etc., so they can counter. But I've never done that. And to tell the truth, there's always something happens every flight, and we fill out a flight report for every flight. So if there's something notable has happened on a flight, it'll be there in the flight paperwork, in the flight report. So assuming the company let me have access to that to read what I wrote, I should be able to tell them what happened.
Yeah, thank goodness we don't have to fill out a flight. When you fly, how many flights on a typical trip? 2?
We only ever do one sector.
Yeah, so, a 3-day trip,
there,
you fly 2 flights, so 2 flight reports?
Yeah.
For us, a 2-day trip could be as many as 10 to 12 flights. For Dana and I, the typical trip that we fly, maybe 2 to 3 legs per day. But this trip, for instance, we're flying, we're dead-ending on a couple of the legs. So we're
essentially doing 2 legs a day.
2 legs a day, basically. So it's not that bad. But I'm glad we don't have to do that flight report on every flight. Anyway, interesting question, or great question. Thank you very much for that. And by the way, just a reminder, we are going to record part 2 tomorrow with hopefully Captain, I don't know why I keep saying Captain, Miami Rick joining us from Anchorage, I believe. And I'm just wondering, we've already recorded a little bit over 2 hours. And I want to make sure we have enough time to address some things with him tomorrow. But I would like to do this one quickly, and maybe another one, because it deals with the airplanes that we fly. This is from Alan. He asked a great question. He says, number 1, have you read about the upcoming X-Plane 11 soon to be coming out? And I don't do PC simming, Alan, so no, I have not read about it. Do you do PC simming at all?
Not anymore.
No, I don't think any of us do. Captain Nick, you don't do that kind of stuff, do you?
I don't have time. I'm too busy doing the real thing.
Yeah. And that was not meant to be a sarcastic or facetious answer, even though that everything that Captain Nick says kind of sounds that way. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I do apologize. I didn't mean that at all. I used to.
I know. Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never done that before. I've never done PC simming at all. So probably because I'd crash everything.
I did quite a bit of it, but
did you?
I remember when X-Plane came out.
Yeah.
But once I got into the airline business, the last thing I want to do is see an airplane or an airport on my days off. So
right,
PC simming is part of that. Yeah.
Okay.
I actually know quite a few guys that do it when they were new on the Airbus because they could practice instrument approaches and procedures because it was that good, and they could practice setting up the boxes and doing that at home.
Right. So. Yeah, that's helpful. Good point. And then the second question he asks, which is the most important one. After listening to podcast 240, I had to smile. You guys are talking about ejection seats on military jets. I was thinking that they must have one on the Mad Dog. Jeff, you could reach down, pull the handle, lever or ripcord or whatever, but it would launch your first officer after he gives you some unwanted help. Ha, ha, ha. He says, I'm joking, of course. Well, Alan, I don't think that's a joking matter. I think that that's actually a pretty serious consideration.
Actually, Alan, I'll be honest with you. It's not on the first officer side. It's on the captain's side.
Actually, they have kind of the equivalent. It's not actually a physical ejection seat, but they have the ability, and we don't as captains, by the way. Dana, has the ability to say, like he flies with me and he goes, you know what? And that's probably why he hasn't flown with me for the last 3 years. He has the ability that when he's bidding for his schedule to put in the employee number of the person he does not want to fly with. So there's like a way that you can put in a preference and say, I don't want to fly with this guy, this woman, whatever. And I can't do that because they give me my schedule before they start working the first officer schedules. So that's kind of like an ejection seat. He ejected me from his bidding preferences.
Captain Jeff, I can assure you, you're not on my
Do you hear
list.
some water running?
You're not on my list. You are no. The reason why Jeff and I haven't flown in so long is because, well, Captain Jeff at Acme Airlines, on the equipment that he flies, which is the Mad Dog, which we both happen to have an infection for, he's really senior. He's under number 30 on the left seat out of 600, and I'm roughly now finally at about 190 out of 600. So I'll be able to fly with him a little bit more, I think, in the future. But
time to bid off another airplane.
But honestly, it's the opposite too. You can put in pilots' numbers that you prefer to fly with.
Oh, okay.
So you can do both ways.
Oh, really? So, I mean, you can. I can't.
Yes, you can't.
Oh, well. Okay.
Is that only one guy that you don't like, or can you make a whole list?
Put a whole list, I think.
Yeah, you can put as many numbers as you prefer in the list. I personally, every company has the people that you prefer not to be with. But if I always go with the mantra: if I can't get along with you, you get some major problems. Because I have not one person. I can honestly say this: I have not one person on my no-fly list. That's what it's called. And
there is just sometimes where like the personalities just don't kind of mesh. But I had the same experience as you. Even back when I was a first officer, there were several captains that were definitely on people's no-fly, and we didn't even have the ability to not bid, for flying trips with those people. The only thing you could do is like call in sick if you didn't want to fly with them. But I always managed to figure out what it was about the person that was like causing the friction, and then try to come up with a solution to work around it. And then amazingly, I found that once I did that, then all of a sudden everything that resistance, that friction was gone. And it was actually a joy flying with everybody. I really never had one person, his personality was really.
What about you, Nick? Do you guys have the ability to put people on your no-fly list, or do you just have to go out and fly with people regardless?
No, we just go sick.
There you go. The alternative method.
Yeah, that's really common.
Daniel says, does being on the list affect your salary? No. Unless you drop a trip and you don't get compensated for it.
Well, but I got to chime in on that one because I know a little bit beyond just the list, but Pro Stands actually monitors that. Monitors.
That is an abbreviation for professional standards.
Yeah, professional standards. They actually monitor that, and if you have a lot of people that you're on their no-fly list, that they'll come talk to you because obviously there's an issue there.
And that's a committee that is managed by the union, ALPA, Airline.
Yeah, it's an intervention without management getting involved.
Basically, handling our own
business.
All right. Yes. Thank you for that. All right. And then one more quick thing, and then we'll go ahead and end the show. I have a feeling this episode's going to be a long one because, Rick is not very concise with his answers, so it might be one of those marathon shows again, but that's okay. I think you won't mind.
These two can go away. I'm going to stay on for another 3 or 4 hours.
We can keep going
every once in a while.
Yeah. Let's see. Michael C. from Tennessee. I love his name. He said, Acme Ace, piloting physiatrists, V1 V-neck, and Acme Red Baron. Huh, very cool. That's the way he addressed us for. Attached, you'll find a video of a stall test performed in the Boeing 717. This video shows an abrupt stall with a roll to inverted. Quote, internet experts have left comments on the video ranging from nice job to I need new pants to what a crappy job of recovering. The crew survived the incident, which means it wasn't the worst stall recovery known to aviation, but I'm interested in hearing the critiques and insights from the esteemed panel of APG aviators. Now, Nick, did you have a chance to look at this?
Yeah, I did, but I don't know exactly what the guys are trying to simulate. If it was a simple stall, then one, I was a bit unimpressed with the stall characteristics of this aircraft. I mean,
yeah.
Geez,
well,
you see it?
I was surprised, and this is a T-tail aircraft, which have notoriously bad stall recovery characteristics. I mean, it's like on a T-tail, like a 727, DC-9, Mad Dog, or whatever, Fokker 100. You don't want to ever get into the position that these test pilots put themselves into. And I watched it, and I think I'm in the category of I think I need to change my pants, because it is a very thrilling ride. And I'm going to try to share this with everybody. Let's see if I can share my screen. Those of you who are watching the video can watch it.
I was quite surprised, having got himself inverted with about 20 degrees nose down, he didn't roll to the closest horizon and pitch up. I'm surprised he effectively just pulled through.
I think it looks to me like he almost got to the point where he was like exactly inverted, and it was kind of already kind of going that way, and so he just went ahead and dished it out and completed the other way. But I'll have to look at it again.
Well,
but I couldn't see his speed, so I couldn't tell whether he was just unable to initially to pitch the airplane.
I don't know. It didn't look very. It was terrifying to me, actually.
Will you believe that my entire flying career, professional, I've never flown anything else but a T-tail airplane.
I almost all of my hours, except for the L1011 time, were T-tails.
Yeah,
well.
T-tails. Yeah.
Even the C-141 in the Air Force was a T-tail airplane. But let me see if I can find the proper window to share so that you may enjoy this with us. Here we go, share. And here we go.
One, number two, stand, 25, 8, 7, stabilize. Keep your head in the rock. Okay, nose down. Okay, back. Speed careless. You got it? Okay, there we go. Easy right in there. Don't give
Oh my.
Okay. You know what I just noticed looking at that again is how he was inverted, and it looked like he wasn't making any attempt to roll with the ailerons, wings in the opposite roll, to the proper position before he started the pullout maneuver.
Yeah, that was my point, Jeff. He didn't really. I mean, if he was low speed, he'd have a lot of aileron on to get the aircraft rolling, and he didn't hardly seem to put. His only correction scene or his only recovery technique seemed to be to pull. And of course, I didn't catch it the first time. I could hear this time the overspeed warning going. So he obviously got the damn thing going pretty fast. So I don't
He's
know
inverted.
whether
You're right. He's inverted like more than 20 degrees, nose low, and it almost looked like he paused for a while, inverted, before he actually made any attempt to roll it back to the that you're right. That
I'm not convinced he did roll it back. I think he just closed.
I think you're right. Looking at it again, he went the
pulled the airplane through.
Yeah, the wrong way, I think. Wow. Anyway, interesting video if you want to take a look at it.
That's the worst stall recovery I've ever seen.
Yeah, and these are McDonnell Douglas test pilots, I believe. Yeah, stall testing for the Boeing 717-200. Wow.
Okay. He's wearing a baseball cap, so he's got to be good.
It's got to be. All the cool kids wear the caps, right?
Yeah. Now, you see, I started to do that till I realized that you can't see the overhead panel.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder with that video if it truly was the test program on the 717, if they didn't do that on purpose.
Yeah.
They may have put that aircraft in that situation on purpose to see how it would handle.
Could be.
Oh, yeah. That is
I really, as a pilot looking at that, I agree with both of you guys. Why didn't they do what they normally, push roll or pull roll and get that aircraft into a non-vertical, upside down position? I honestly think that was done on purpose.
Yeah, you could be right, because every fraction of a second that you're in that position when you're inverted with 20 to 30 degrees nose low, you're just building up so much energy that you may never ever be able to recover from it. Yeah.
And I'm sure that they talked about it and and worked through that to get to that position and not kill themselves, because realistically, they probably should have died in that video.
Yeah.
Either that, they were doing stunt double for Denzel Washington in his movie. One of the two. But
oh, hey, you know what? I just remembered. Steve Horn is in the chat room. Also on Sunday, I mentioned that I had a meetup with Bill Blaster Price. I know I'm switching subjects here for a second, but earlier that day, I came home early in the day from my trip, and I met up with Steve. And I think his name was Doug, and I don't remember the guy that is flying for Alaska now, what his name is. He's from South Africa. But anyway, I met with three guys who were coming to attend an Acme expo, job expo. And we had breakfast together in the B concourse. Worked out perfectly, and I got a chance to meet Steve in person. That was a great pleasure. So, Steve, hello. Enjoyed meeting you, and hopefully that went well for you and the other two guys that you're with. All right. So let's go ahead and stop part 1 right here. And we'll continue very shortly. And if you're listening to the audio podcast, it's like it never happened. We never stopped. Okay, now we're off the air. Actually not. But the video is still being recorded. But that's going to be the first part of the audio podcast. So now we can just, now it's the after show. Can let our hair down.
Hi, everyone in the chat room again. We haven't been paying much attention to you. Sorry about that.
Yes. Yeah, they were lucky they didn't pull the wings off. That's for sure. Oh, look, there's Dana in his full glory. He suffers from some kind of a eye problem.
And
I suffer from
someone
this
was
happy
asking-
problem. I like making people happy.
Oh, Nev, Tony and Dana are the same person.
Yes, I
has
am
an
indeed,
alter ego.
Tony. Tony and Dana are indeed the same person. Actually, when I go out to dinner and they ask for your name, when you go into put your name on the list for seating, I find Tony is a whole lot easier because most of the time, especially in Atlanta, they can never pronounce my name right.
Dana,
Dana, Donna, Aduna, Da, Daniel. I mean, they just don't understand it.
Well, that's easy. D-A-N-A.
I know it doesn't make sense, but the
Yeah.
problem is I'm from Boston, and I talk
how do you say
properly,
it?
and the rest of the country has an accent.
So how do you say it?
I sound more like Nick. Proper English, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, when I heard you, I'm talking with your Boston accent. I'm thinking that sounds just like Captain Nick.
Sure does. But no, anyways, that's why I tend to use Tony as my alias because
Tony.
It's
That's a
easier,
bit New York.
and quite honestly, I don't like my name.
Larry. Larry's from Boston. He lives really close to the airport.
Which airport, Larry?
Logan. Yeah.
Awesome.
No, I've met Larry.
East Boston, Winthrop.
Yeah, several times I've met Larry in person. Very, very great part of our community.
So, yeah.
I see that Nev, you finally joined NevTech, huh? You've embraced it. Good. I wonder if that URL is available, that domain, NevTech. If it is, I would grab it if I were you. Because you never know. Might be an empire that he builds.
He's already got one, I think.
Yeah, that's true. So how late is it getting there, Nick?
It's only 10:30, so it's just getting towards bedtime. I by the way, part of the reason that I was having a little trouble picking up on things was that I'm getting your audio through very broken. So
yeah, yours is kind of breaking up for us too. It might be the hotel internet here, even though I popped $15 to get the premium.
Yeah.
It still is not the best in the world.
Well, I was looking at mine, and download was fine. It was 30, but my upload was getting a bit dodgy at times. So
yeah. Oh well, that's one of the roadblocks or the problems that we have doing this kind of a show using internet. You're kind of you're a slave to the whatever speeds you can get, but it usually works out pretty well.
Which is why Lagos won't be a
yeah, will not be happening at all, right? Well, why don't you go to bed, sir? And we're going to go ahead and shut this thing down here in Orlando. Thanks, everybody, for joining us in the chat room. We're not sure yet, but we don't think that this guy, Dana, is going to be joining us tomorrow because he has some other plans set up. We're going to be back here in Orlando.
I'm going to see my buddy, Tony.
Oh,
What's her name?
Yeah, real Tony.
Real Tony.
Yeah, we ended up, the normal place that we go is called the Rosen Plaza on International Drive here in Orlando, for those of you familiar. But we're over here kind of in the middle. It's a beautiful setting. It's a beautiful hotel. It's kind of a little bit more upscale. Beautiful golf course we're looking over, and pool and everything else. But I guess they filled up at the other hotel. And so when we arrived, unbeknownst to us, they had already decided that we were going to stay over here at this other property. Not too far away, but
they're having an aviation conference over there.
The National Business Aviation
Association, and that's where all the cute girls are too.
So here we are at this. It's a nice place, but it's limited to the eating establishments and stuff, and it's very expensive.
Show them how expensive that sandwich is going to be.
Well, yeah. So but it was more than just a sandwich. You got your bourbon, and I got my.
No. I'm talking downstairs in the hotel.
How much was that sandwich?
$14.50.
Yeah, $13.50 or something like that for a regular sandwich.
For a turkey sandwich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's when we decided to go ahead and took a cab over to a shopping center across the street to.
So we spent $12 in cab fare to go buy a $5 sandwich. Plus some chips.
We still save money though, right?
You should have gone with Uber.
We did actually. The taxi cab was cheaper than
Less
Uber.
expensive than Uber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was
right.
crazy.
So we went over on a taxi cab and we came back on Uber. I guess it was about the same both ways because if you factor in the tip and that kind of thing. So.
We gave him too much tip.
Yeah.
We gave him $2 tip.
Well, I mean, it was like, got to give him something.
That's right. You're captain. I forgot.
Yeah. Anyway, so we're going to be back
See
here
you
in
again.
Orlando, or I'm going to be back here in Orlando tomorrow, and probably back at the Rosen. So maybe the internet will be little bit better. Yeah. So thanks again, everybody. If you're around tomorrow afternoon, I think Rick said around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock Eastern time. He thinks that he might be available. Of course, his schedule is changing all the time, but that's what we're thinking. That's what we're shooting for tomorrow. So if you're around, you want to join us, please do.
From,
What's that?
Navtech.
Oh yeah, that's Nev. He said that somebody already got that domain.
Oh, okay.
He works for another company called Feltech, and I always say that he's always Nev from Nevtech. So okay. Corporate pilots always get the cute ones, huh? I don't know about that.
Don is at the Dan is at the NBAA.
Oh, really? Where?
Right there. See Dan?
Dan. I don't see Dan.
Yeah. Glenn Towler says, yes, Dan is at NBAA.
Who's Dan? Is he in the chat room?
Don't know.
I guess I need to. Dan Pimentel. Who's that? Jen?
Hi, Barbara.
Yeah, we're still going, Seth, but we're officially not
long
recording the audio now.
Before I forget,
Barbara. Yes.
Crew log.
Okay, I'll do that tonight. New crew log for the Coffee Fund cadre.
It's not very long. It's not special.
Okay.
Just that I got caught in a war, so I thought it'd be useful to mention it.
Okay. They're all interesting. Oh, we didn't get a chance to do the Plane Tales tonight. I guess we're gonna have to play that tomorrow too.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a short show.
Yeah. Well, Rick can answer one or two questions and it'll be it. Okay.
I don't need to do any. I'll be on Plane Tales. I just want to be rude to Rick for a while.
It's a sport.
It certainly is.
Let's see.
I'm sorry, I'm going to miss that.
Barbara,
I have to watch that one.
Barbara asked a question earlier, asking about why Mad Dog, why they call the airplane that we fly Mad Dog, and we kind of talked about this before. It's because McDonnell Douglas, the initials MD, and they basically came up with that nickname for the airplane. And then some people say, well, the way it takes off, it has a pretty high angle when you initially take off at most weights, usually 18 to 20 degrees nose high, which is a little bit higher pitch angle or deck angle than a normal, a typical airplane taking off.
Yeah.
And so it kind of looks like a scolded dog climbing into the air or something. I don't know. I think it's the MD, just for Mad Dog. Scolded cat. Yeah. So obviously that has nothing to do with
certainly
dog.
know about it if someone hadn't secured the galley trolleys, wouldn't you, Jeff?
Yes. All right, guys.
Could be worse. It's a scare bus,
Yeah.
Scare bus.
Oh, there you go.
Those are scary.
Square bus, scare bus, doesn't matter. We're making money. Ha ha ha.
You know what? I love them all. I think they're all great airplanes.
They're all airplanes.
And we're all pilots.
Yeah,
that's right.
All right.
When I climbed out the F-18, I stopped worrying about what I was flying. It matters no more.
No, it doesn't matter.
Oh.
Mad Duck. I don't know why. Because
Quack, quack.
I don't know. Anyway, we got to go. So thanks, everyone. And I'll see you all tomorrow.
Lovely to see you, Tony, Dina. And look after yourself, Jeff. Have a nice meal, you two.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you, Nick, as well. And I hope to see you guys again soon. Bye-bye.
Hey,
I'll make sure that crew log is posted.
Cool.
Bye.
Cheers.